Welcome to the Lost Lowdown, podcast 181, with your hosts, Claude and Justin.
What's up, guys?
We are back, continuing our season 5 commentary series with episode 512 Dead is Dead.
So dead.
Dead's always dead, except when maybe it's not dead, but this
Other
time it is
times,
dead. Dead is
less
sometimes
so.
other things. What are the communicative properties of dead? It's like I feel like dead can be other things. Dead can, 2x dead equals what is the question?
You doing algebra? What is this?
Not on purpose.
Okay.
All right, so man, we're getting towards the end of season 5 here.
Fucking A. It's about time.
Yeah, right.
Right?
What are you, our listeners?
It's gotta end someday. Yeah, this interminable season. No, I mean, hey, it's fine. Yeah, actually, this episode is one that I've been waiting for.
You've been waiting for
urgently. Yeah, I have like a serious bone to pick with this episode, and I've mentioned things from this episode. Like, if you've been following the commentary series, you've probably heard me reference this episode. Like, I don't even know how many times. Somebody out there knows. I'm sure of it. Yeah, no, it's like, like the entire premise of the episode makes no sense to me, and specific things that happen in it make no sense to me.
Oh, good.
So
it's a lost episode.
It's a fucking lost episode, but it's like it's like what. There's a scale, like sometimes they have those where they just really, it's like a lot of concentrated bullshit, think Across the Sea,
Yep.
like this is like Ben's Across the Sea. Basically, where it's just like it really doesn't add up for me. Like the basic plot of this episode. And it annoys me how they don't talk about it later. And that's standard. That's like all of Lost. Like, it annoys me they don't talk about it later. Because, like, they never talk about anything later. No matter what Sayid says, there's not
really
going to be...
He really wants to talk about it later,
we'll
but
talk about this later.
Yeah.
No, we won't.
Off screen, and we'll never talk about the fact that we talked about it.
Exactly. It's like, maybe they talked about it off screen, and if so, they'll tell you. But if they don't tell you, then you can't assume that they did. So there's no reason to think that it actually happened. But it's just like I think what's annoying about it, this happens on a lot of shows where there's a deception or a surprise reveal involved. Where, and there might even be some movies that fall into this category that are like recently out in the theaters. I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say plot, surprises, well-established thing. But sometimes there's these contrivances, and I feel like part of like maintaining the secret or the surprise of what's coming at the end of the season, namely the smoke monster thing, or whatever, Man in Black, like whatever you want to call it, Locke, that whole thing, is that we never get like a proper reckoning of Ben's behavior with respect to like all those characters, and like Locke also, like Ben's trip with Locke to the cabin, and Ben summoning the smoke monster, and then this episode where he's gonna be like, I came back to the island so I could be judged by the smoke monster, and it's like, what the fuck?
Well, you remember when Henry Gale first showed up in season 2, and they were like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm a man who wants to be judged by the smoke monster," right? Like his original, character arc beginning, right? That was an integral thing for his character. Did I misremember that? Am I remembering wrong? Wasn't Ben's journey always to be, because that's what they do. right? Smokey's gonna be judging.
And like now that you say that, strangely, it helps like clarify something for me. Like because it reminds me of the cabin stuff from the end of the season. That whole like
Hmm.
Alana thing, and like
Mm.
he's not here, and the
It's
lot
the
and
same problem.
burn it.
It's yeah, I think you're right. It's the root. Whatever the root is, these are symptoms of the same root problem of their writing. Yeah, they're like broken in the same ways.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So it's just like I feel like functionally it's similar where they're trying to do a transition
Hmm.
from what the plot's been up till now to the thing they're moving to.
You
You know what
nailed
I mean?
something very important. The transition. That's
Yeah,
interesting. So when they have to like do this juggling between this one story and the next, that's when you see these rough patches.
definitely. Yeah, it seems like they didn't quite fit it together, and so it just feels
Hmm.
awkward, and they're trying to get it all in one episode, basically. You
Hmm.
know, so I think that's the root of the problem because the core idea of what they're doing here is the smoke monster is going to appear as Alex and tell him to do what Locke says, and Locke's going to tell him to kill Jacob. He's going to do that. The whole like that part of the plot makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
I don't question that. I would never question that. It's just the stuff leading up to it where it's like, I mean, it goes back to the smoke monster, the man in black, what it is and what it does. And it's just like
Hmm.
they watch that Echo episode and they're just like, well, what the fuck? Like, what's this about? I guess we're supposed to go get judged or something.
Hmm.
It's like that's the only time anyone ever thought that the smoke monster was judging people. You
Yeah, and it's
know?
like, how did Ben see that episode?
There's no reason he should have seen that episode. How the fuck? There's no
He
way.
bought the Blu-ray set
He
before it
shouldn't
came
even have
out.
known that that happened. I mean, he
Yeah,
was he was on the Hydra Island. Like,
yeah.
there's
Well,
no
and,
fucking
and
way.
so let's make it worse, right? Let's add more detail. Pile of fun. Um, let's remember that you know, Richard Richard knows that the smoke monster is not to be trusted.
Ugh.
He's put in charge
Ugh.
of the others specifically for that reason.
Oh God.
Yet somehow Ben gets this notion that the smoke monster is something that you can trust, that can judge you, and you're supposed to be in some way that's valid. So how does that mythology work down the
You can
chain? Like,
call it to protect you
mm-hmm,
somehow.
mm-hmm,
Like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. The Richard thing. I mean, that's like, yeah, Apaterno is Richard's
dead is
across.
dead.
Like, yeah, his that is that exactly. It's like
Yeah,
the same problem of
yeah,
like they're trying to like bridge the character we've had with like
yeah.
the story that they want to tell
They
now.
should stop doing that. They should stop going back in time like that because it doesn't work.
It really does.
Yeah,
It's bad, and the Rousseau stuff is a mess too.
yeah.
I was just like testing the thing and watching a couple lines from that scene, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this bullshit that he's saying? Like, unbelievable,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Like the if you hear the whispers, run the other way. Like what? What?
Mhm.
Explain. What does
Mhm.
that mean?
He's
Does he
just
know what the
wrong.
whispers are? Does he not know what they are? Either way,
Mhm.
why is he saying that?
Well,
It's
when they
just
do
so
see, that's the thing,
confusing.
when they do those flashback episodes, the things that they're saying that come across as canon, like, oh, when you hear the whispers run, that I think is really there mostly to inform the stuff we saw before. So when we go
Right.
back to previous episodes where characters heard the whispers and ran or wanted to run or whatever, we're supposed to tie it back to this to go, that's why that happened, you know.
And Rousseau's thing of like, I hear the whispering, I hear them whisper.
Hmm.
Like it's supposed to be like an origin story for her
Yeah,
strange beliefs about the others. Like they're trying to
but the
tie that
problem
all
is,
in.
yeah, the problem is, is that it doesn't really work that way, right? It doesn't. It's that thing we talked about before about the chronology, right? That if the first thing you ever saw about the numbers was them being written on the Dharma station, on the Swan station door, you'd know they weren't special. And that once they come across Hurley, we know, or we at least suspect, that Hurley is the one who's placing this meaning on the numbers, and they don't really have this nefarious quality to them, right?
Yeah.
Uh, like, and I think that's kind of the problem with this thing with these flashback episodes, Dead is Dead and Ab Eternal and all this stuff, where like, um, we already know why the characters are behaving that way in the previous episode. So when we go back to these flashbacks that are actually happening after, you know what I mean? Then it's like,
Yeah.
it basically, I guess my point is, if we had seen the show chronologically, then when we get to that point, he wouldn't have, that's not what he would have said about the Whisper
Right.
organically, right?
Right. Yeah,
He
yeah,
only
yeah.
says that in the context of we already have seen what people do in the future.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's, I mean, that's sort of a version of like the idea that he saw the Echo episode. It's sort of like he's also
Yeah.
seen the show,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows what the Whispers represent to viewers of the show, and also just how they've played out
Yeah.
when characters in the show have encountered them before.
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem to line up with that, but it's just you got to think it through, though, like if you're writing a thing, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so what does that mean for the character? And I know, like, I know that that writing team knows how to write enough to know to do that, but I just
Mm-hmm.
like, what did they tell themselves? I really wonder
Well,
how
and then yeah,
this happened.
there's also that problem of the others do whisper, right? So
Right.
there's the others literally being in the jungle whispering, and then there's the whispers of the dead people whispering.
Right.
So they conflate the two things, which makes it problematic.
Yes. Yeah, and of course, like, yeah, if it was the old days and Damon and Carlton had their podcast and someone asked about it, I'm sure they would be like, well, the others can whisper, and he's
Mm-hmm.
just saying, like, avoid the others,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know? And like, or maybe that's what he means, That, I don't know, that'd be my take on it. What do you think, Carlton?
Yeah. Or is it because then there's the other weird thing that we've talked about where you hear the whispering before like Man in Black shows up, or like Smokey or
Yeah.
whatever. So
Yeah,
is that
they've
a
been kind of a
coincidence?
generic, like, there's a threat showing up thing.
Yeah, is that a Are they trying to warn you? Like,
Right.
uh,
Even when we meet someone who's like, yeah, we're the Whispers, Michael,
mm-hmm.
of course,
Yep.
he still doesn't really explain what
No,
they're doing and
no,
why. Like,
no.
he's just like, we can't move on. Yeah, but what are you doing while you can't move on?
Yeah, it is like, so we can't move on, so we spend our time pranking people on the island by
Yeah,
whispering. Like,
exactly.
like
Exactly. We're
just
just like
scaring people for
running a punked show, like in the ghost world.
Ghost World Punk Show. I mean, someone put that on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, dead is dead. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's perfect. It's perfect illustration that part of the problem is that it actually ties in with a lot of things as far as
Mm-hmm.
the bigger plot goes. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Um, and a lot of those plot elements have problems, and so it just like gathers them all up and
Mm-hmm. Lights them on
puts a
fire.
lot of shit in your face. Yeah, exactly. Like, I can complain about Christian Shepherd like showing them the picture of the Dharma people or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
that alone is just nothing compared to what this episode goes
Yeah.
in terms of like, what the fuck are they doing? I don't know. I just uh I think it's definitely a lot of questionable decisions, and I
That was the original title for the show.
I wish they had found a way to like tie it together,
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this
But
is
then
what
it
we
would be
have.
like life
Yeah.
with the loose
Boy.
ends that we're all familiar with.
God damn it, that
Life
again.
is like life, and loss is like life. I mean, hey, they both start with L. They both have 4 letters. What more proof do you need?
Good point.
Lost life. Hey,
Hey.
that's a quote from Carlton and Damon explaining the show. Just quoting the masters.
Yeah. No, it's a good one. Very
All right,
apt.
you ready to get into this? Because you have 0 things to say about this episode.
I know. No, I mean, we just gotta like sit through it, and we'll see how it goes.
Maybe it'll be great. Maybe we'll understand how this is the best show ever, best
Let's hope
episode
so.
ever. Although I just saw on Lostpedia that of all the Lost episodes ever aired, this got the fewest viewers.
I did think I think I read that a long time ago. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's that like mid-season ratings drop, and it just
Mm-hmm.
hit like the low point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gotta love it.
Widmore's in this episode. I mean, speaking of bullshit from Lost,
Captain bullshit.
like the Widmore's like origin story is in this fucking episode. They managed to squeeze that in on top of everything else. What the fuck? I just can't believe how much shit they decided to try to do. I think maybe that's another problem they run into. Not just like bridging things, but also like trying to explain too many things at once.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Across the Sea does. That's what Apaterno does.
Yep.
Just like look, no, we gotta like hit like all these points
Mm-hmm.
like in one
Yeah, it's
episode.
not only transitioning between stories, but bringing out brand new information we had no idea about, and they try to reconcile previous information we did know about, all, and then like 10 other things all in the same episode. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's no wonder those episodes don't work that well,
yeah,
because there's just too much going on.
yeah. Yeah. They're really trying to squeeze it in. I actually think it's a weakness of the format in part of the show,
Mm-hmm.
like the way it's character centric. Like I think that is good, but it means that the story is going to be like biased towards I guess spreading the characters out. So you can't, even if there's like more pertinent information in certain characters' stories, you're not necessarily going to spend more time with them.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the characters you spend the most time with are not even characters that really know that much about anything or have even encountered much of anything. So I think that's another problem because like, Ben has like 3-4 episodes or whatever, and so they have to like tell us everything
Mm-hmm.
in a very short amount of time. But really, like the story has such scope that you could do like a whole show about Ben. I mean, maybe not like 20 episodes per season, but
Mm-hmm.
I think you could easily do 8 and do a few seasons because there's just a
Basically,
lot of stuff.
didn't they already do that? Wasn't it called Dexter?
Ouch. Ooh. Ooh, sick burn.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
I'm
Oh
the
my
killer,
god.
Anna Lucia. Oh man. There's a world out there where Michael Emerson was replaced Michael C. Hall. There's a different Michael.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he can definitely play that type of character.
Yeah.
He yeah. Yeah. He sort of has a role along those lines in Saw.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I feel like, and I feel like his casting as Henry Gale was partially because he's so good at playing that, like, can you trust him? Can you not trust
Mm-hmm.
him? What's he hiding? Kind
Yeah.
of tone. That seems to be like a specialty.
Anyone with big eyes is naturally suspect. It's just
we all know that.
It's just a human physical response. Yeah, it's an evolutionary thing.
The eyes are compensating for all the deception.
Yeah, that's why they're so big. They're hiding deception. They're filled with deceit.
Exactly.
All right, let's do some Dead is Dead.
All right, let's do it.
All right, everybody, get your players ready if you're going to sync up with us for some Dead is Dead.
Woo, let's do it.
All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Previously on Lost. Child murder.
That's just what happens on Lost.
Hey, honey, what's that child murder show we love?
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. We don't even know what we are. Don't listen to me from Insane Woman. Wow. The bluff heard around the world.
Yeah. That's the man who killed me.
That's also an interesting thing I never really understood is why did he say that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why come off as a crazy man right off the bat?
It's really weird, but he just decides to go with "I'm back from the dead."
Oh, that's
and
right.
Selling the story.
He's playing that he's special. He's back from the. I forgot.
Yeah.
Complete sense. So, is this our first time seeing him?
Yes.
Young Widmore?
Young Widmore, yeah.
Okay.
Is Richard lying?
What did he say?
He said Jacob wanted it done.
Oh. Well, that sounds like a lie. Why would Jacob say anything about Ben?
That's what I was thinking. What about you? Is all I remember.
About you. Yeah, he could have said, I saved your life as a child.
He could have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been really helpful for Ben. Richard could fucking mention that.
Oh, maybe he said he wants it done indirectly. This whole idea of wait, why did Richard even do this to begin with?
I don't know.
That's what I'm asking. Something to do with Locke and the time travel, but now I'm confused on why he thinks Ben is important.
It has something to do with that?
I thought so, because then he could say, well, Jacob wants it. Jacob sent Locke and blah, 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 or he could assume that.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. But now I don't know how to connect the two, actually.
Right. You'll always be one of us.
What does that even mean?
I have no idea.
The island is Jacob, then. Is that what you're saying?
That's where you know we haven't seen him before.
Yeah, I was just going to say, future billionaire, Charles Widmore. Did he just have that dream of a flashback? That's a great awakening.
Yeah, it's like a nightmare.
It's like he's dead. It's a great line. And then Ben's gonna do this.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's
just
great.
As I hoped.
He has like a second to decide what's the plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, Benjamin Linus for your consideration. Oh, I knew you were gonna come alive once I killed you.
Oh no, he's gonna put on a yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna win an Emmy for this, John.
Oh, this is so weird to tell the smoke monster that I'm coming back to be judged by you.
Oh, that's bridge number 1. Bridge number 1 was, I wasn't allowed to leave the island, or I wasn't allowed to come back to the island.
Huh.
So that's bridge number 1. I'm gonna be judged for that. And then bridge number 2 is, no, I want to be judged for Alex.
Oh, I see. That look is like, oh, I can control you even more now.
But you know, when he leaves,
Like I've got another level of control over you. You think this smoke buster's supposed to tell you something?
I know.
Like, this is too easy.
It works really well. Yeah. Yeah, plays into his hands. But like when he turned the donkey wheel, he said, I can never come back to the island after that. And I think they're trying to explain that.
Then why did he come back?
To be well, yeah, he was saying he shouldn't have come back, and that's why he needs to be judged. But we're gonna find out that he doesn't care about that. It's actually Alex.
But so when he said I can't come back, he means I can. It'll just be a bad thing to do, not that I physically can't.
Yeah, exactly. He said I broke the rules. So that was retcon number 1.
There you go.
And then retcon number 2 is, actually, I don't even care. Oh, Caesar.
I know.
Ah! Here we go.
He looks fine to me! Uh-oh. Manifest.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, Ben's acting like he knows, but he has no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Well, but doesn't he just go run to the smoke monster? It's weird to do that thinking, why is Locke alive?
Yeah.
Shouldn't he be going to see Jacob? But that's how you know he's never met Jacob.
Definitely.
Because, that's actually true. Like, he never, for a guy thinking he's doing all this stuff for Jacob, he never starts to seek his counsel for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So clearly that was all fake.
Yeah.
Or even ask Richard what to do. And I guess that's an interesting question, is when does Ben realize he doesn't have to listen to Richard? Is it this scene?
Oh God, this
is weird.
Love that wig.
Ethan! God.
Why did you join us, by the way? What's wrong with your home life? What kind of father was Horace? Or was it Amy? Or was it both?
It's only the men who are the problem.
I just think it's crazy that like Ben has a specific reason why he joined the others.
Yeah.
And like I just don't get why Ethan did it. Oh God, there it is. Reference number 1. Reference number 2.
Yep.
That's the same thing.
Why would it be him? I'm like, why?
Yeah, I know. It's such a random leap. But they're trying to fit it in.
Yeah, they try to fit in my baby's abducted, there's others, and there's an infection that the others spread all in one. Alex, thank you for giving me the name.
Yep.
Because without that, Ben would have named the baby something completely different.
Right. Right. Yeah. That was always a weird thing.
There it is.
Oh, man. It's so weird that he personally did it.
Yeah.
That's just not really what I thought when I originally imagined. The abduction.
But you're the smoke monster, so you're lying. This is weird. Awkward.
I know.
Here we go.
There it is. You were also told that you had to die.
See, here's. There we go. Keep going. Oh, I forgot about that line. That's a deep cut. That's a deep cut.
Yeah, the critical information is a problem too. It's like Eloise Hawking was deep in the others. She was the others' leader at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
He was there at that time. He knew about her and Widmore. I don't get why that was such a big secret.
He has something to apologize for. He just explained that.
Yeah, why would I apologize?
This is so hard to watch.
It's really weird.
Because this, I mean, God, you want it to be Locke so badly.
I know.
I mean, he's got this swagger.
Yeah.
He's walking around in a suit, and
yeah.
But it's like not him.
But you can see it's just manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it seems like he's even mocking the idea that he's going to judge Ben.
Mm-hmm. It's like, why are we playing this game? Nah, you wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Uh-oh. I don't think you mean it.
What? Like, why?
I know.
I mean, 2 seconds ago he was like, he didn't give me a choice.
I know.
And now he's like, I'm in charge here. And when did he get Caesar's gun?
Yeah, he secretly somehow got it from him. I don't know how that worked.
Consider that an apology, huh? I killed somebody in cold blood for you.
Yeah.
But I didn't really need to.
No.
AKA, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was just getting rid of Caesar. I feel like it doesn't
because
really...
they're all because he's the leader of the people who are suspicious of our group here, so
yeah,
they got to get rid of him, or else he will follow them.
Exactly. Oh yeah, I was talking to them the other day.
That was her apology to someone else.
Oh, we haven't even found out how his arm got hurt, so they're gonna put that in the episode
wow.
too. Every fucking thing.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Wouldn't Jacob stop that? I don't know. The island?
Yeah, he wouldn't. He's immune to bullets. Like it wouldn't hurt him. He would have been fine. Of course, it might have proved there was something weird about him, but
Yeah, we should have known this wasn't Locke. He's too insightful.
yeah.
But we thought it was like, Gandalf the White,
Exactly.
back and he's a little bit wiser.
Yeah.
More in touch with his path.
That's definitely the trope they're going with. And that's why it works. Like he didn't even look.
Yeah, that's a kind of that would work on the page, but when you actually shoot the scene, it's like, yeah, you see that baby coming a mile away. Kill it like you kill everyone else. I'm obsessed with children because my mom died in childbirth. Oh no.
Oh boy. Are you insane? Richard, comment? Anybody?
Oh jeez.
Like you're just gonna let this play out?
Yeah.
Like they're facing down about like what Jacob wants, and like does anyone care to actually find out?
Because Richard knows that Widmore's not talking to Jacob.
Yeah, exactly.
So how does anybody know what Jacob wants?
I know. It's such bullshit.
Yeah, that's the problem with having a deity that's actually accessible is there's no excuse to interpret what he wants.
Exactly. Yeah, just go fucking ask. And why doesn't Richard like want to step in? It's just weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
One way or the other. Oh, we're back to this.
Oh yeah, creepy time.
The abandoned Dharma compound.
Why wouldn't the island want them to be slightly more comfortable? Oh, that's a great moment. Now it's a horror movie.
Yeah. I couldn't have planned this better.
So now he's in two places at once, right?
I don't think that's him. I think that's Son and Frank.
Oh, that's right. It's Son.
It's just a weird coincidence. Or he told them to wait there. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Maybe. But I think they want us to think it's Christian. Since that's what they saw here before.
Mm-hmm.
Or perhaps some other apparition.
Yeah, they were supposed to think it's Alex.
Yeah, I
Like
guess
Ghost
so.
Alex.
Yeah, it's in the room. Yeah, and he is gonna see Alex in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Where did he come from?
I don't know. He was in the closet. I don't know what that was. Oh, you know.
We're here to wait. He never saw that.
Mm-hmm.
He never
Exactly.
knew.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. It was sitting right fucking there. You were there for years. How did you not see this? Crazy old man house.
Crazy old man. He's literally Frank's age. Wow, he's playing all the angles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but hey guys, what if that crazy Christian guy and John Locke are the same person? It's
Yeah.
less weird in one hand and more weird on the other hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how none of them know who the crazy old man is.
Mm-hmm. Liar, liar, pants of fire.
Yeah, let's do forget about that.
Oh, that's right. Not only were they in the Darwin Initiative, that's where they are now. Like, that's why they're not here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a weird thing to say, but
oh, I think we've done fixing radios. Oh, he really doesn't know that.
because I won't be here to do it because I'm leaving. Frank out.
Let's
Ben has something to do first.
let's not talk about that. And they're never really going to talk about
Why does the two things have anything to do with each other?
Yep, here's thing number 83.
Yep, here we go. He never wore any of those suits.
I love it. It's like two secret passages on top of each other and then an ancient thing. It's just
yeah, now we're like in Indiana Jones.
Temple yeah. This is just so ridiculous.
Yeah. Let's find the Ark of the Covenant.
I remember being so disappointed by this. It's like a hole in the ground. And he's like, hey, come get me.
So now we're in another well type situation.
Yeah.
He just like crawled to a well nearby.
It definitely looks like that. Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, there's the plug.
But it's a well with a drain.
That's another way to
flush
hide
a toilet.
It's just a clogged toilet.
That's it.
This is Dharma's septic system.
Yep, it's a hole in the ground.
I'll be outside.
That was it. You're welcome.
Well, like, where did the water come from? And
Good
where did it
question.
go?
Also, good question.
They already wrote that scene. I have to be there.
Oh my god. Oh my god, this episode is too busy.
It's got everything ever in it.
Jesus. It's like
Okay, the clout.
it's like they made it like we can never make another pin episode and we have to do everything in this one. And you know the rules means a gentleman's agreement.
How do you know? What's the difference?
Ask Richard. There's a way to find out.
They're both middle-aged men.
Yeah, it's just like you knew me when I was a boy, and
Yeah.
so, but it's like, yeah, it's just weird. Like you're a boy too, Widmore. I'm not going to be asking too many questions going forward.
It's gonna be like much like when I was first on the island. There's gonna be a lot of questions asked. I killed him.
I choked the life out of him.
Dead style.
Of course I did
Come
not.
on, son. Who could know that? Contradicting the lie he told Locke earlier.
Yep.
There we go. Thank you. Then what's your explanation? Okay, here we go. Then why are you resting all your hopes on the smoke monster?
Yeah, it makes
and
no
not
sense.
Jacob, right? Like
Yeah.
shouldn't he be trying to find Jacob?
Yeah. Yeah.
Vincent. What do you know? It's not a train. It sounds like a train. This is super weird. Like, why make him do? Why? I'm so confused. So I guess this gives Locke the power because he's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, go summon the smoke monster the normal way you do," but he like
Yeah.
didn't let that work.
Yeah. He
Just
could
so
have.
he could have, but he's
But
like
he
now.
didn't. You there.
Us together here. I've been leading you since you were born.
Yeah, I think Richard needs to teach Others 101 class where they talk about Jacob and the smoke monster
It's
and what their
literally
conflict
a
is.
5-minute class.
It is.
Don't trust the smoke monster.
It's so simple, but they should all know that, and they act like they don't.
All right, here we go.
I know. I know. Yet another loose end to tie up. Excellent pun.
It's pretty good. Boy. All my billions can't stop my daughter from dying. The knowing. You know, what I realize is going to happen with the rest of this Lock is Man in Black stuff is it's exactly like the Dougie storyline
Yeah,
on Twin Peaks season 3
definitely.
because like this is all a waste of time.
Yeah.
Nothing he's saying can really be taken as face value. So it's almost worth like not even hearing.
Yeah. I think
So
it's better than Dougie in the sense that at least it is a real character doing something
oh
like
yeah.
active,
Yeah.
but and not just repeating things, but like
But I mean,
I
there's nothing we really get out of this character because he's not
yeah,
really the person we want him to be. That's kind of what I mean. He's
right.
not
No,
really.
no, no. I totally agree. It seems I don't know. I'm wondering if the only reason he brings him here is because it's a good opportunity to like set up a thing where he can like
Mm-hmm.
go with Ben and then go be the smoke monster and then come back.
I think they're also wanting to set up the temple. This is going to be important later,
Yeah. Yeah.
and show us some more of the mythology with the where they go down in there and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's weird that there's this like lower chamber
Mm-hmm.
that's like not the temple, but it still has like hieroglyphs and stuff in it.
Yeah, that almost seems like a reason to say, well, why didn't so and so see so and so in the upper temple ever? Oh, because there was a lower place. Like that seems like a classic Lost
Yeah.
thing. Like, why was Montan there all that time? Oh, because he wasn't in the main part of the temple.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What did he say? Tell what? Who?
Oh, tell somebody I'm sorry. Desmond, I think it's Desmond.
Mm.
Because it's the thing we haven't seen yet.
Oh, okay.
This thing. I think they were
Is
setting up
it?
this scene.
Is it? I mean, yeah, Kimi killed his daughter. Kimi's dead. Okay. This is great. I'll ignore the guy next to the car. Wow.
My milk!
I think that carton of milk saved him. This is Penny's boat.
Yep. I've never even had a scene with him.
Eva. I'll take him and raise him as my own. It's what I do. So this is when Desmond came to LA to help them get back on
Yeah.
the plane. Okay.
The whole like Faraday thing.
Okay.
Go
Yeah.
find Eloise Hawking.
All
Blah
right.
blah blah. And she's like, "Oh, okay, whatever." Oh God, I forgot about this.
Oh.
Yeah, this was a bit of a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Because like
What?
Alana
Where?
and Caesar seem to be on the same level before, but this is
Yeah.
where you realize like not really.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Answer the question.
I'm Bram.
It's very clear.
Like, wouldn't they know that
I
he's with
know.
them if he was with them? Because he
It's
was on
just
the
weird
plane.
because it's
And
like they should know there's just like random people here. They're not all like in
yeah,
on this like crazy island insanity going on right now.
yeah.
It's just like he was the fucking pilot. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why do you think he knows the password? It's
Well,
weird.
and wouldn't he be in charge? Like, if he was with you, wouldn't you know already? Like, why don't you
Yeah,
know already? Why didn't Jacob tell
exactly.
you?
Yeah, he would have had to like met him independently and then told him, yeah. It doesn't make sense. And just because he doesn't know doesn't mean he's like evil or something or
Mm-hmm.
working with a smoke monster.
Doesn't Ben decide not to move on because he's not over Locke in the afterlife?
I think he doesn't specify, but yeah.
Okay.
He's like, I have some issues to work out. I don't think he specifically says.
But that's the only thing I've ever done wrong in my entire life. Like, there's nothing else for him to answer for. Why didn't they make it about all of his issues?
I
Like
know.
all of the murder, all of the misunderstanding, all
Yeah,
of
they
the.
wanted to have that focal point, and really like the pivot to Alex is total. Like that is his central thing for the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
This is so weird. It's
It'll
like, is
only
this the
take me a.
point where he just takes advantage, or did he know that that was going to happen?
I think he knew. He knew he planned all this. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he knew from the very moment he said, I got to be judged by the monster. It's like, oh, I got a plan for you.
Like this feels like it should be part of the temple, but it's like they
Mm-hmm.
built a temple on top of another one.
Well, it could just, maybe this is just cut off from the main part somehow. But yeah, I don't know if it's supposed to be an older foundation or if this is like a secret part.
Yeah.
Oh, this is weird.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
Yep. Coyote head man talking to smoke monster.
Yeah,
Normal.
now that seems built for the smoke monster, which is weird as fuck.
Yeah.
Cause what were the Egyptians doing with the Man in Black? Or what was he doing with them? Maybe I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your new
And and
prophet,
and and
Benjamin.
they should have predated him.
Yeah, I agree. Was there a smoke monster before the Man in Black?
Oh, this is
Maybe.
fucking crazy.
Yeah, this part.
Like I'm gonna make you see things.
I love that they flash back to the earlier flashback from this episode. It's just like, it's so weird. Like, we just watched that.
Yeah, but he hasn't seen it. How is he doing this? The smoke monster has this power the whole time, and also Locke can change into the smoke monster, just nobody else. This is so weird. He didn't go through this for Echo.
No. No, it's totally different. But he's not really judging Ben.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I guess it's convincing the audience that Ben's perspective is true. Like, oh look, the smoke monster's doing this
right.
whole song and dance to judge him.
Definitely.
And then we go, oh, it's a judging machine that the Egyptians built. Oh, this was crazy.
Yeah.
Now, I guess you could read that scene as not only was the smoke monster showing Ben the past, but he was reading his mind so he could formulate this Alex
Yep.
apparition.
Oh, definitely. I know.
Because that's what happened with Echo, right? Yeah, he saw his brother.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so they're trying to make that consistent.
Because I just scanned you.
Because I just read your mind. Why torture him into that instead of saying, hey, Dad, the only way you can be forgiven is if you follow John? Like, because he already wants to be forgiven. He's already incentivized.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
now
he goes
they
with
add
the
this,
strong
like,
arm, like, threatening, like, I'm a mob boss or something.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, you better do what I say or I'll come for you. I'm just up here with a rope, you know?
Anything happen while I was gone? Oh, that's number 18 on the list. 30. Like, after all that, wow, it let me live. It did more than that, buddy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so they're really trying to do the judging thing to say that's the choice. You're forgiven and you live, or you get judged
You're not
poorly
forgiven.
and you die.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they try to sell it, but if you look at it, you can tell that actually it's just a ruse to try to convince Ben to do what Locke wants.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like really elaborate, but it is like Ben's reaction is so, I don't know, it's weird. Like, the focus is supposed to be on the Alex thing, but it's like, this thing that just happened, like, is this just normal for you? Are you cool with this? Like, swirling smoke monster showing you events from your past, like, that's just like, you just accept that? I find that really strange.
Yeah.
That he's expecting this, and it doesn't even really seem to rattle him at all until Alex shows up.
Well, yeah, that's what's weird is.
And does he connect? You know, does he connect to the two? Like, clearly in his mind? Because I thought it was interesting that Alex says, I'm gonna hunt you down and destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
Which just sounds like such a strange thing. It sounds like the smoke monster speaking.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It seems like a strange phrase for like a person to use.
Yeah, is Ghost Alex gonna hunt him down? Like that's
Exactly.
yeah.
And destroy? I don't know. It's weird. Does he understand, or does he think like Ghost Alex, uh, has her own thing, and this is just what she wants, and this is like separate from the smoke monster thing? Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, that's a hard question. I would want to say he thinks Alex is separate from the smoke monster, but it's a little tough. The other thing I was gonna say
Because
is,
like Echo seemed to connect the two, you know,
yeah,
or maybe he didn't connect the two, but Yemi did, for him, I guess. um don't speak to me like I'm your brother, or whatever he said, something like that. um and in this case,
yeah.
I feel like the change in Alex's demeanor like really showed that it wasn't really her.
Yeah, is it expected that you are judged by the smoke monster form of the one that you betrayed or something?
Right.
So he
Yeah,
knows it's
yeah,
not really
yeah.
Alex.
Yeah, does he understand that idea? I mean, there was that whole thing with his mother, and Richard knows something about the smoke monster appearing as dead people.
Hmm.
um so yeah, that it just, oh my god, they crammed so much shit in there. I can't
Yeah,
even believe it.
the thing I was gonna say is, what was Locke's plan before Ben said, "I need to go get judged"? Because this entire plot line is hinging on him judging Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that, well, no, I don't know, it's hard to say. I mean, the general goal is, I'm gonna get Ben to kill Jacob. And I think if he didn't ask to go get judged, then he would try to move in that direction, maybe more directly. Maybe go meet up with the
So
others
he
directly.
needed to find a way to manipulate Ben into doing what he wants. And as soon as he hears, "Oh, wants to be judged by me,"
Yeah.
that makes
It's
it
kind of perfect.
a lot
Like,
easier.
oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
That's like no big deal.
Hmm.
If he asked for, like, I need Jacob to judge me,
Yeah.
could be a bigger problem.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, maybe that's why they didn't do.
But it would make more sense in a way, because why would the enemy of your deity be the one to judge you? It's just weird.
Is the smoke monster the enemy of Jacob?
Oh, yeah.
According to whom?
Me.
All right. Well, I mean, on the show though, like, how did the others know that?
Well, Richard knows that. And that's where
Okay,
it's like,
so that's why the others don't know.
do you want to say Abaterno didn't happen? Or do you
Hmm.
want to say that Richard just doesn't tell anybody anything? Which is definitely possible.
Hmm.
But Richard should know. And I just feel like it's pertinent
You know
information
what?
that
Maybe.
they should be told, because if they're wandering out in the woods, I mean, you can encounter the smoke monster. We saw characters just randomly encounter the smoke
Yeah.
monster.
So here, I think I solved it. So maybe at some point, after Abaterno, Richard is severely wounded, and they take him to the temple, and they
Oh
heal
no.
him in the water,
Oh
and
no.
he forgets everything.
Jesus. Not that.
And he was never
Uh
the same again.
Whatever that means. Why did they even play that clip? I guess just because of that one line where Ben, because they go to the temple and Ben's like, "Oh,
Hmm.
this is where I was saved," or whatever, and they had all that. But they still, there's just no explanation for what that even means. Because
Hmm.
like, being one of us, being the other, being in the others, like, it's not a supernatural thing. It's just like a decision you make, uh that you want to join them or not. Like,
Yeah.
there's no like magic, like, oh, you're one of us now because you've been marked by the temple
Yeah,
or
they
something.
used to
Like,
come off like they were like fairy people, right? And you could
Yeah.
like go off to join them, but you would pass through the veil of our reality and like
Exactly. Yeah, just like the fairies on True Blood. You're right.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Queen Mob and
yeah,
all that. Yeah.
exactly. Once you drink from our fountain, you shall never be the same
You may never
again.
return to your mortal realm. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You can only exist in the moonlight. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it comes off.
It does. It does. And yet, like, it just does it makes no sense. And the stuff with the temple later, I mean, there's nothing in that later to suggest that like when they're gonna heal Saeed, they're not like, well, he's gonna be one of us forever and he's gonna lose
Uh-huh.
his innocence. And it's like, A,
Nope.
too fucking late, and B, like, why, why would he join the I mean, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm alive now. I guess I'll join the others. Like, what? He doesn't want to be
Yeah.
there.
The problem is like, yeah, when young Whitmore's like, you'll always be one of us or whatever, or like just because you're with them doesn't mean you're not one of us.
Hmm.
What does that
Yeah.
mean? What does
No
that mean?
idea.
Us are people who hate Dharma. I think that's the closest you can say. Or us are people who want to protect the island at all costs. Those are really the only two kinds of things, and they go kind of hand in hand. But it's just a weird,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a weird thing to be to. It's just so heavy-handed and clumsy
Really
because it's
heavy-handed.
about
Yeah.
the stuff they're trying to submit stuff we've already seen. So these flashbacks just don't work the same way
Yeah.
because they have to write these things to be in line with what they've already written.
Right. Exactly. And still like pivot towards the story they want to tell
Mm-hmm.
and the things they want to focus on going forward. And yeah, I think it's hard to make that work.
Like, why is Alex the one who's going to judge or be the voice of judgment for the smoke monster when he killed what 100 Dharma
I
people or
know,
something? Or
yeah. Yeah. It's the one that was personal that matters. Like those other people are just like whatever.
they're just whispers in the wind.
Exactly.
Literally, they just whisper. Yeah, this episode was tough.
Yeah.
This is tough.
Yeah, no, it's bothered me for years, and I brought it up, as we were watching the show, like things would happen with Ben, the Echo episode, all that, and I was just like, trying to make sense of it, and
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it ever helped, and I think that really is the problem. I think it's really just trying to do way too much, trying to
Mm-hmm.
connect things that don't really connect organically,
Mm-hmm.
and so they have to force it in a way that just seems, and they even shoehorned Ethan in there. It's like they didn't need Ethan to be
They
there
didn't need
when
Ethan to
Alex
be
was taken.
there.
We know he joins the fucking others. It's
Yeah.
fine. Like,
He
just
could have
calm
been
down.
he could have been in the camp scene where you see Richard and Whitmore
Yeah.
eating. Like he could have been in the background. Like and Richard's like, yeah, or Whitmore's like, hey Ethan, pass me some more
Mm-hmm.
beans or
Yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh okay,
yeah.
yeah. But to put him like in that extra crucial point of when Ben took Alex is weird.
It's really weird. It's like, why did they send like a 10-year-old to go? It's what are they doing?
To go on a murder,
And then Whitmore was like,
run.
"Wow, is it done? I don't know, Charles. Open your eyes and look at me."
Yeah.
What the
Get
fuck?
your face out your plate and look at me. I see this baby in my arms.
It's so like, yeah, and Whitmore is just so like devoid of any sort of normal character traits. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And it's juxtaposed with his overly tenderness with Ethan in that scene, which
yeah,
doesn't make any sense. Why are we humanizing this guy?
right.
Like what he's saying makes no sense.
Yeah,
Every other scene he's in, he's a bastard.
yeah.
Like so yeah, it's super weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah. I just think like, I think they would have been better off just leaving a few of those questions or mysteries or whatever out, because I think it's just too much.
Couldn't they have had Widmore be fine with him saving the baby?
Yeah, it's like they wanted to ratchet up the conflict.
Like, hey, we want more people in our ranks. It's great that if we get more others, the more the merrier to protect the island. Like, it's a good thing that you took the baby. So it's this weird thing where they made it. But see, that's what's weird. Like, they tried to add the conflict of that. Oh, you took the baby, and it's just so much, right? It's been psychology about his mother dying in childbirth, and then it's also this beef with Ben and Widmore that'll play out later when he throws him off the island.
Right.
So it's all of that built in. So you got this animosity. You wanted to kill this baby, Charles. There's one reason why you're unfit. And then years later, it's like, okay, and you had a baby with an outsider. That's the second reason
you have a multinational corporation, and we see very little dividend or equity from that.
Exactly. You didn't let us in when you were on the startup phase.
Where were you when the IPO happened, Charles?
Exactly. We subscribed to your newsletter, and we were not kept abreast of your updates. So much spam, Charles. So much spam.
I'm not even clear why that was such a big deal.
There was like 30 things, and there was no one reason why he needed to be kicked off the island.
Right.
And then you throw the rules on top of that.
Yep. And I love that the Man in Black's line is like, I don't think you care about rules.
Oh, man.
And it's like, he's talking about these rules, and then we get, I don't think you care about the rules.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a mess, the rules, and the Man in Black's like following his own rules, and it's like, if you could just decide not to care about the rules, do you think if I could do that, I would best to be? Yeah, I know. I could hear the response already.
Yep. You think if I could break the rules, I would be here if I didn't break the rules? Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But it is like, when they originally mentioned the rules, like they really seemed like mystical and supernatural, and like there was some kind of, like,
it's almost like if you saw those scenes chronologically, you would know that the rules were just a gentleman's agreement from the beginning. And then later, when they mentioned the rules and it seems mystical, you'd realize they weren't.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. That's true. That is true. Because it progresses from like intrigue to disappointment. And if you flip that, then you don't have any intrigue anymore because you start off with the disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just characters misunderstanding things.
You just get like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just get the setup, whatever. Yeah. And it's just I mean, goddamn, that everything wrong. I feel like, okay, I won't go that far, but a large number of things wrong with the show are present in this episode. It's kind of amazing because I was just thinking about the others, something we complained ad nauseum on the podcast. Like, I just think the culture of the others doesn't make any sense overall.
There might not be any episode that dovetails into so many mythology storyline things without really without being about them.
Yeah, it's almost like Nikki and Paulo, but it's Ben.
But it's Ben.
And it's just like, here's Ben when this thing happens.
Yep. That's exactly what it is.
And you just kind of go through it, but you don't necessarily learn anything.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least not anything helpful or interesting.
It's like being another.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it sucks. There's just these arbitrary rules. Oh, you're not supposed to leave the island or have a child with an outsider, but you are supposed to get judged by the smoke monster
and kill people indiscriminately.
Yeah, it's like, who the fuck made these rules? Did Jacob make these rules? Did Richard?
Jacob has no idea this is happening.
I know. And
Yet,
I don't
yet,
get involved.
yet there'll be a period of time when that's all he's doing is getting involved.
I know.
So which one is it, Jacob?
He
If that
can't
is
make
your
up his
real
mind
name.
either. I know. I wouldn't believe it if I didn't literally hear his mother say his name's Jacob.
Yeah, I know. If that was his real mother.
In Latin, of course.
In Latin.
Jacobus, or whatever they say.
Yeah.
Like Ricardus, the well-known
Ricardus, yeah.
Roman soldier.
Mm-hmm. Ricardus of Rome.
Oh man. Yeah, they fucked
and
that up too.
they do this other thing in the episode with the titular line "Dad is dead," where they have these rules, and in the episode and where they tell you what the rule is, you see the rule broken.
Right.
So it's weird to be like, "Hey, I've never seen anyone come back. Dead is dead," and it's like, well, why is that the title of the episode when the point of the episode is that's not true?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the other thing I was going to bring up. That whole, like, I've seen a lot of crazy things on this island, son, but I've never seen nothing like that. And it's like, motherfucker, you were brought back by the temple from dying. I mean, you know it's a thing. Like, bullshit. You ain't never seen that.
He forgot it.
He didn't forget it because he talks about it when they go to the temple. He knows that shit happened. Even if he forgot it, he knows it happened because someone told him. He was told by Widmore, basically, like, yeah, no. And even if he didn't, he knows about the temple. Like, come on.
But dead is dead.
Dead ain't dead.
No one ever not dead.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't know. It's just absurd. Like, even though he's right, it's like, it's one of those things that's irritating because he's right about Locke, you know.
Mm-hmm.
His suspicions about Locke are definitely on the right track. I'm scared. Yeah, you should be. It's not Locke. And, you know, it's the smoke monster who you should be afraid of, not asking for judgment.
Like, what's weird is Ben knows he killed Locke. And Ben knows the smoke monster can be dead people, right? Does he know that?
He really should, especially after the Alex incident. If he didn't know it before.
But he doesn't, he doesn't put two and two together and go, oh, what if Locke is the smoke
monster? It's right in his face.
It's right in his face.
Oh my God.
And I feel like with Richard knows the smoke monster pretends to be other people, but I don't think he knows that Locke got killed, right?
Well, he's going to find out because Locke's going to tell him.
Oh, that's right.
Locke's open about, I'm back from the dead, and that's the problem with Richard, because he should have been like, what the fuck?
He identifies as openly deceased.
Openly deceased. Exactly.
He's out of the closet with it. He's openly deceased, yeah.
Yeah.
So then Richard should put two and two together and go, oh, what if you're sir?
Yeah, it should be so suspicious.
Like Men in Black's plan is like, I know. I'll use the one thing everybody knows about me to do the one thing no one will ever suspect I'll do.
It's insane. It's totally insane.
Yeah.
It's totally insane. I'll lead them and I'll just say, like, go kill Jacob, and I'll get Ben to do it because he'll just be mad at Jacob, which, like, oh God. That's a whole thing itself. But yeah, no, I think it's just it's a huge mess. It's hard to even get it in. It's hard to even talk about it. And get a handle on all the pieces that are going wrong and why.
Yeah.
You know? because they're
Yeah, there's
like
a lot.
interconnected, like Locke, Ben, Smoke
Hmm.
Monster,
Hmm. And it's this crossroads
Whitmore.
of all of these divergent theories and people's point of view about what happens, and they
Yeah,
all intersect, and they're half people are wrong, half people don't know what's going on.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and no one suspects that they're all being played.
yeah.
You know,
Someone should have been suspicious.
it should have been
It's
Saeed.
yeah,
He's the one
yeah.
who sniffs out deception.
That's why Saeed had to go to the 70s. And they didn't know
Yeah.
what to do with him in the 70s, but I do feel like that would have been part of the problem. Like if Saeed's
Hmm.
around, he would be asking questions. He would
Yep.
not be so readily accepting.
Asking questions, talking about it later,
And
all day
we'll
long.
talk about this later.
I'm from Iraq. You can tell from my accent.
Can't you hear it?
Can't you hear it? Um, yeah, this episode's a lot. This is a lot to deal with.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a big mess. And yeah, in a way, like the Kate episode, the last one we watched, like just seems like way more, even though it's a mess in its own way. And I think
Hmm.
like they made mistakes in that episode, but it's much more confined, to Kate's story and Sawyer's story. And it's a little bit, uh, the influence doesn't spread to sort of like the overall plot. It's just kind of like character issues.
So another problem with this episode, with the ending, is what was the point of Ben being judged? Like, judge, he goes and he's gonna like, okay, I mean, I guess the idea is, listen, I felt guilty for getting Alex killed. Maybe it wasn't what the island wanted. Let me go get judged to find out if I did the right thing or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the idea? And then it let me
I
live
think so.
means I did the right thing.
Yeah.
I did what the island wanted me to do.
Yeah.
But like, so what? Now what?
Well, now, for his atonement, he has to follow
Oh,
Locke's
now he's got to
orders.
atone.
Yeah, he's
But
got to
but,
atone.
but atoning means you did something wrong.
Well,
So did he do something wrong or not?
yeah, I guess it wasn't clear. It wasn't clear. The judgment wasn't clear. I mean,
It was a
okay,
hung
okay.
jury.
Here's what I will say. Like when Alex appears, Ben says, "Alex, I'm sorry. It was all my fault." And Alex says, "I know." And I feel like that
Yeah,
implies that the judgment is actually you're
you're
guilty, but
guilty.
I'm letting you live if
I
you
see.
do what I say.
I see.
That
Okay.
seems like the implication to me, but it's not stated. So,
Then why does he feel the need to be judged? If it's not to validate that he did the right thing, right? Because now he was invalidated. He did the wrong thing.
yeah, no, I feel like he thinks he has to potentially face a punishment. I mean, I think he thought he might be killed.
Or else what?
Or else what? No. There is no or else what? What
Or
are you
else
talking
what?
about?
No.
You, that's not a
That's a
thing you
hard
say.
it's a hard no. I mean, like, what's he not gonna go to Dharma heaven to like what's gonna happen if he doesn't get
I don't
judged?
know. He's got some personal like idea of what the right thing to do is, and he thinks he has to face judgment for something that he
You
thinks is
just said
wrong.
Benjamin Linus has a view about what the right thing to do is.
Well, yeah.
From since when?
Since like yesterday, I don't know. It's
I
yeah.
guess since he
Since
saved Alex, right?
since that episode,
Since he saved baby Alex, he knew what was right.
yeah. I mean, I do think they're trying to build up the redemption.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by like his redeeming feature is that he cares about children. So he saves the baby, and then he doesn't shoot Penny because he sees Charlie. You
Yeah.
know, and so there's like this implication that, you know, maybe he's a cold sociopath who will kill you without a glance if you're an adult, like Caesar. But if you're a child, at least he might care about your well-being.
All right.
So he could be worse.
So he could be worse.
Right? Like Widmore is offered as a contrast because Widmore is like, wow, just kill it. You know? And so it's like he's not as bad as Widmore. Like that's kind of how he's presented.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole judging thing is super strange.
It's a fucking mess. Did they think about it? What did they tell themselves? I wish I could know. If we ever get them on the podcast, it's something I would like to find out.
Explain yourselves.
I mean, if they were just like, it doesn't matter, or if they had an explanation, like, here's what I'd like to think, but we'll let the audience decide whatever they want. You know, like, I don't know. How did it go?
Or is it like, hey, we're playing into this idea that we smoke monsters, judging people. We know that's not true, but that's what the audience thinks, so we lean into that. And that's why it doesn't make that much sense because it's more of an external thing.
Yeah. It definitely feels like there's an external influence. I mean, very heavily. Like they just keep hitting these like past mysteries in this episode.
That goes
ridiculous.
Back to what you said about Nikki and Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just like, you know, if you think about the normal way a flashback episode goes, I think that's another weird thing about the season. Even the Kate episode was like this. It's like jumping around in time.
Yeah.
You know, showing all these different moments. Saeed one was like that too. Yeah. It's just like, it's like they have all these loose end flashback bits, but they don't actually turn into a story. Like in the old days, the flashbacks used to have a story. You know? And now it's just like random scenes from the past.
Scenes, yeah. That's why it makes it disjointed, and that's why it makes the mythology weird because it's touching on all these disparate things.
Yeah, and it just I really feel like they would have been better off just focusing on a thing, and even if they fuck that up, at least they didn't fuck up, you know, 38 other things.
Yeah, that thing where Russo's like, the first thing she tells Ben is, "You're the ones with the sickness." Jesus
I know.
Christ. Ease into that a bit. Jeez.
It was too much. It was like a fast scene, and it's like, oh my god! By like second 3, we have to hit like at least 3 plot points.
Yep.
Like, calm down. Yeah, no, seriously, it's ridiculous.
That was tough.
You have the sickness, and also you're the whispers, and also like, oh my god.
Yeah. She also didn't see the smoke that she claimed she saw the night her child was.
I know. Oh yeah. No, I forgot that was the thing. Yeah, first I saw the smoke, and then 3 days later they came. And the only 3 options you have are run, hide, or die.
A pirate, or is she French?
Fine line.
French
pirate.
French pirate. What are you gonna do?
Why not? There are many.
Yeah. It just was too much. That was way too much. And then throwing Ethan on top of
it. Oh god.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing that bothered me about that scene was the initial thing with Russo is the one who captures Henry Gale.
Oops.
And she's just like, I know he's one of them, and you just gonna have to believe me. And it's like, no!
Accents from around the world. Now he's Southern Belle. Well, listen, I know I always depend on the kindness of strangers, but not this one, because he gonna lie to you. He gonna lie to you.
He will lie, and he will lie. And it's like, no, fucking, he took Alex. That's how I know he's another. He took Alex.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't just write that shit in and then expect that earlier. Oh, she's crazy, so she forgot. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, she did not forget the face of the man who took Alex, and he doesn't look that different. It'd be one
The
thing if they had the
wig.
younger version play him, Then
Yeah.
you could say, well, he looks different. Maybe she doesn't recognize him. Whatever.
I think it's
She
supposed
never
to be
even
dark in
mentions
the
it.
tent, dark. What are you gonna do?
It was so dark. I couldn't make out the faces.
The fast. So southern that he mispronounces words. Yeah, the fastest. What are you gonna do? Can't make out the fastest. Yeah, it's tough to go out of their way to tie these things together, but then to get it wrong and make more trouble in the other episodes,
Yeah. The cabin thing is exactly like that. It's just there's so many examples where it's just like, it's almost like the outrigger thing worked out better, where they
Mm-hmm.
just didn't go back to it, so they didn't ruin it. Where we could just
Yeah.
be like, well, that doesn't make any sense because of reasons 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Like, it's just easier. I think they're just piling up at this point. And I do think that it's a problem of the way TV is produced, and the fact that they do, quote unquote, make it up as they go along, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, but I think the problem is that if the story goes in a certain direction, like if they had a book, if it was a book or a movie or something, you go back and you change the earlier parts to fit where the story goes later.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the option of doing that, so they just end up having to like force the earlier things to work. So I feel like that's just like a TV production issue that makes like long stories like almost inherently tend towards something like this at some point. Like, I don't know if I've seen any show that doesn't have at least a small example of this. I mean, Lost takes it to another level, but you know what I mean. Twin Peaks is perfect example.
Yeah.
Retcon City over there. Oh my god. But that was 25-year gap, so what are you gonna do? If they came back to Lost in 25 years, I don't know what they'd do. Are we there yet? I feel like we're getting close.
We're really close to the 25-year mark. Yeah,
that's actually frightening. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yikes. See you again in 25 years.
Oh wow. That should have been like Henry's Michael Emerson's thing at the end of the show. He turns to the camera. See you again in 25 years. Lie you later.
Oh, I'm done lying.
Oh, I'm done lying now. I done lied. Wow. Yeah, it was fun to see Ben scramble when Locke wakes him up, and he has to get his lie machine going. And
yeah, he definitely did some face acting there.
It was great to be like, it's a miracle, just like I hoped.
I knew it. I knew it all along.
I said, praise Jesus, bring him back to life.
I've been praying every night to the Lord.
Every night to the Lord JACOB. Wherever that is.
I never met the man, but I hear he's wonderful.
I'll kill him for that later. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I think it is true that Ben has character problems in terms of like how the story beats fit together just as a character arc, like what we were talking about with Kate. Like, I think they have a hard time balancing out, like, is his big issue that he killed Alex, or is his big issue that Jacob is ignoring him and he's jealous of Locke, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I think they kind of waver between the two.
And there
Uh,
you go again. Like, if they would have connected that idea that, wow, Jacob, I sacrificed Alex for you because I thought that's what you wanted me to do. And this entire time, you weren't even concerned about me. Yeah, I'm going to kill you for that. You
Yeah,
know?
it's weird that he doesn't even mention that until
Yeah.
later. You know, he doesn't mention it until Alana is about to kill him for doing it. And it's
Hmm.
like, that's really the thing you should have told Jacob, especially if we're supposed to believe that that is like your core problem or your unresolved like
Hmm.
guilt,
Hmm.
you know, as opposed to focusing on, what about me?
Yeah, it's weird
You
to
know,
make
it
it
just
that
seems
personal and selfish.
selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it seems more in line with bad guy Pin, but then the Alex thing is redemption Pin,
Hmm.
and I don't know that they really meet each other.
Collect them all. Redemption bin, lying bin, Henry Gale bin.
So I say that just to say that, Saeed can be thrown in this group too, but just thinking about the Kate episode and the Saeed episode, you know, there's like character motivation problems, but on top of that, there's um, just like larger plot problems. And I
Hmm.
think that's even more present here. I think it beats the Saeed episode too, because like Saeed's thing is still confined to like Saeed's part in the overall story. And it doesn't
Hmm.
like ruin everything else. I mean, once he's claimed and all that, it's like, okay, now you're way up in it.
Yeah.
But before that, it was really like more of a like personal thing with him and Ben.
Maybe Russo was right. Maybe Ben is the one spreading the sickness. And the sickness is like bad storyline. Everyone he comes into contact with gets a bad storyline.
The only thing I put inside you was a bad storyline, James.
Comma James. That made it worse. Um wow, what an episode. What an episode. Yeah, season
It
5 is
is. It's
not
a
my favorite
handful.
season anymore.
No, was it
Uh,
ever?
it was,
Oh, it
yeah.
was.
I really enjoyed it
When
the
was
first time
that?
around.
Oh, the
I
first
don't
time
know,
around.
30 years ago.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
first time
yeah.
around, I really enjoyed it. At inventive. It had a lot going for it, and you know, um, yeah, I really liked it a long time ago, and now it's barely works. It might be the worst season.
I think it is the worst season so far, and we'll have to see if season 6 is an improvement, because I know season 6 has its own problems, and I remember during season 6 everyone was nostalgic about season 5, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's like, go back and actually watch it. Are you sure it was
Mm-hmm.
really that good?
Yeah.
Because
Well, it
like,
might be that thing in hindsight. We'll get to season 6 and go, "Oh yeah, 5 was great compared to."
yeah, yeah, yeah. It definitely could be true. It remains to be seen, but I mean, I would say actually the progression of the show has literally just been downhill
Mm-hmm.
every season. Because
Yep.
I think 4 was better than 5, and I think
Yep.
3 was better than 4, and 2 was better than 3, and 1
Yep.
was better than 2. So
Mm-hmm.
it just kept kind of getting progressively worse. I I don't know. Since I haven't really rewatched season 6 since it came on originally,
Mm-hmm.
I really have no idea what it's going to look like now. Like
Yeah.
almost 10 years later,
Yeah.
it's like
Wow.
it's like I don't know. I have a different perspective on it, but I do agree that season 5 is not great. I feel like maybe partially like people like it because it has a sci-fi focus
Yep.
with the time travel,
Yep.
and there's a lot of Dharma, even though the Dharma stuff is terrible. But
Terrible.
if you like Dharma, I don't know, it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ugh, I could have not had that. Definitely would have been fine
Well,
with the
who
movie.
knew that we'd go to the 70s and spend time with Dharma? Nothing about them.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's like, what a waste of time. I kind of
Yeah.
wish they just wrote a different storyline.
Yeah. Well,
Because, like,
again,
it just
it's
wasn't
just
worth
like the
it.
others where they're not cohesive. Like they just have
Yeah.
random in their ranks. They have no idea when they get there. They don't even know what they're there for.
Right.
You've got some people on these really important missions, like building the Swan Station
Right.
in Hanzo and all that stuff. I mean, Hanzo,
Yeah.
but what's his name? Marvin Candle.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Pierre Chang, yeah.
Chang, yeah. And so you have these people who are siloed off in their own super interesting storyline, but you have the bulk of people who just do really boring jobs. I mean, the Losties come to Dharma and Kay and Juliet are working on cars. Like,
Yeah.
would you have Hurley in the kitchen?
Jack's a janitor.
Jackson janitor.
Yeah.
You
He's
know,
like mopping floors and shit.
yeah, and it's like the fact that they're just hanging out doing that is a problem, but the fact that that's actually the story is another problem.
Yeah.
And I guess they were like, well, we can't give them anything too important, right? They have to
That's why they
be,
shipped off Faraday too, because
yeah,
he goes and does like science, and we
yeah,
can't be seeing any of that because that might be interesting.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And so then he comes back and he's just like, okay, like time to explode something. Like
yeah,
it's like you don't learn anything.
yeah. You think, and here's the other thing that they don't. And it would be weird, but you would think to do it maybe Jack. Like he goes, well, in like 20 years, Boone's gonna die right over there. I don't know. Maybe I could
Right.
do something about that. Maybe I could write a
Yeah.
letter to my future self or my past self or something, however that would work.
No. I know.
Uh,
I needed that pain
I needed that pain. Oh
to get where
man.
I am now.
Yeah. Oh geez. That's the same. Yeah. Wow. Wait, you were quoting Jack, right?
No, that's a lock thing.
Oh, that's okay. Okay.
When
I
he sees
thought
the light from
that's what I
the
thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I was thinking Jack said something similar when they were trying to get him to save Ben or something about his choices
Oh.
being like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I fight my choices and they led me here or
You're
something,
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something
Yeah.
similar. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough show. It's a tough show.
It is. It's hard to crack. It's definitely I think I think it is like interesting in a lot of ways, but yeah, it's like I don't know, it's such a yeah, I would call it an interesting failure. I think
Yeah, yeah. It's a weird thing. Like everything people who hate the show say is true,
yeah,
while also being, what people who like the show say is true.
right. Yeah, 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 yeah. 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 I think the story had a great potential. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it was a great setup, and I think early on, like the formula worked really well. Um, and it's just yeah, bringing it to that close, tying things together. It's just hard. I'm waiting. If anybody wants to tell me, like, can you tell me, just anybody? I'm putting a call out there. Can you give me a long story? If we're talking books, it needs to be at least three decently long books. If we're talking a TV series, let's say at least four seasons,
Mm-hmm.
um, ish, that really tied together an overall arc, like in a completely satisfying
Mm-hmm.
way. I have yet to see that show
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
read that book or
Well,
encounter any story like that. It's like it always goes wrong as time progresses. I feel like shorter stories are just easier to wrap up
yeah.
properly.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like Lord of the Rings doesn't count, right?
Maybe it does, but I'm not a big fan of Lord of the Rings, so I'm not going to count it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think part of the problem with Lost is there's no point. and I think it there's no point, because in terms of like a story goal, because it's like life, yada yada yada.
Right.
But I think the other problem is, that persists the problem that there's no reason for this stuff to be happening, and I think that's fundamentally unsatisfying to an audience, because the entire sort of purpose of a story, in terms of what human beings like about stories, is the growth and the challenge that the character undergoes in the story, and the purpose that the challenge serves, right? There's a
Yeah.
thing that the hero wants that's important. If it's something that they want that's not important, the story isn't that interesting, right?
Right.
The more important the thing is, the harder it is for them to get it. The more struggles they go through, the more interesting the story is. And I think, but before a point, and I think with Lost, one of my biggest problems with the show is like the Losties landing on the island meant nothing. It just meant nothing. They weren't, even though, right now, here's where it gets extra fun. Even though they're special, right? They're the candidates.
Right.
Like, they've been prophesized to come,
Chosen to
be here, brought here.
Yeah.
Yet, in a way that doesn't really matter, because it could have just been anybody broken. Could have come here.
Yeah.
So again, we don't get the story that the Losties came here and had their adventures. Some of them ended up time traveling in order to stop a nuclear explosion from opening a pocket of energy in the earth that would have destroyed the planet, right?
Right.
Like, that's a succinct story you can write.
Yeah.
Or a group of strangers who come together to stop an evil monster from escaping its island prison. That's a specific story you can write.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with Lost is it has all these elements of a specific story without being specific. Like, there's no point for these things happening. It's just things that are happening, you know. And even the end of the show, they go, "Hey, all right, well, we did some stuff. Now we're gonna go through the church doors and do some more stuff, because who knows what it was all for." Like, no one does.
Right. Yeah.
It's just the thing you did. Like Christian said, "Hey, you did some stuff. Now you're done. Let's go
Right.
do some more stuff over here."
Mm-hmm.
So I think that makes the show fundamentally not as good as it could be, because there's just no big thing it's leading up to.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think it's interesting how they avoid certain story elements that like really should work in a normal way.
Mm-hmm.
Um like I think it's interesting how they don't do that, but at the same time it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't actually work, but but it's interesting to get so close to we've
Yeah.
talked about it many times how they get like really close to a story that
Mm-hmm.
works and then they just
Yeah. They don't connect the
swerve away
dots.
for some
Yeah. Yeah.
reason.
Mm-hmm.
Um uh so yeah, uh it's like I think the show is interesting for that reason, but it can never be it can never be fully satisfying. Not even in you know it's really hard to explain, or it's hard to put into words, I guess. I have a hard time putting into words um what the difference is between leaving things open, leaving things mysterious, leaving questions,
Mm-hmm.
and um you know a satisfying experience, like
Mm-hmm.
where I feel fulfilled by the thing, even if it doesn't give me uh, every answer to every question I might have, or properly wrap up certain things, or whatever. I haven't really figured out like what that balancing point is. I feel like they don't really fall on the right side of that.
I think it's about what types of questions do you have, what was left open, what types of things are left open. And I think why characters did a certain thing is are that group of questions I think is bad to leave open if you don't know why people are doing things and their actions just seem
Mm-hmm.
random. So I think that's bad, and I think the show
Yeah.
falls on that sometimes.
Yeah.
Why something happened, um, I think generally needs to be answered, but that can be left open. Um, why a certain
Right.
thing happens, I think can be open for interpretation. And then the third
Yeah.
group might be what's the other group of like unanswered things? Why they're doing it, what happened. Oh, what happened? That's the other group. Yeah.
Just what
Just
happened.
what happened. So that generally needs
Yeah.
to. Yeah, it's tough. It really depends on the elements that are what the sort of focus of the story is. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's there. Hey, there's an art to it.
mhm.
Getting it right is tricky, and I don't know a ton of examples that really do it, but there are some. There are things that I like that I don't have nearly as many problems with as I do with Lost, but that at the same time don't fully address all of the questions they raise, and
Mhm.
that can sometimes. Well, let me think about it. It can sometimes include um, character motivations or character decisions.
Mhm.
I think it is possible to do that in a way that works, but there's something about the way Lost is presented that makes that not work for me. And I almost feel like the leftovers. Um, I almost feel like the leftovers was closer to right on it, even though the leftovers was very frustrating. I think the tone of it what suggested along the way in a lot of elements that like a lot of these things are silly and don't matter.
And
Um,
I think it's partially that on the in the leftovers, you knew that these were people dealing with an event applicable, and that they had no ability to understand why it happened, right? So that I feel like you go into that show knowing that any meaning they're placing on the events is their own construction.
right,
Where on Lost, it operates as a show where there is a central mystery to be solved. Now, the joke on us is it's a mystery that can never be solved because it's the mystery of the unknowable at the
right,
heart of the island, literally.
right,
So it's a mystery that can never truly be solved. You can only make up your conclusion, right? It's like
right.
we'll go back to classic example of Murder on the Orient Express. That could have ended with Perot going, "Well, my theory is you all stabbed him, but I can't prove that.
I'll never know the truth.
I'll never know the truth of who the killer is." And they just all people thinking different things, and they'll just have to live with that because that's life.
Right,
You don't find the murderer all the time.
right.
So that could have been the end of that, and that could have been satisfying. It would have made a different point, and it would have been satisfying in a different way.
Yeah,
But with Lost, I feel like the whole even if it's our fault for thinking it, they told the show is a show about characters exploring an island, finding clues to understanding where they are. And I think you're on that path with them the whole time, and then you get to the end and you're like, oh, the show was playing a different game. I thought we were doing this game. It was actually this other game. And so I
yeah.
think that's a big reason why it doesn't work as well as the leftovers, where if everyone on Lost, when they land on the island, if they all had all 42 survivors or whatever, like, you know what, guys, what just happened was supernatural. It's
Mm-hmm.
inexplicable. There's no normal scientific explanation for it. This island is weird as fuck. That
Mm-hmm.
smoke monster, you can't explain it. You know what I mean? If they were all on the same page from the beginning, that they're in an environment where mysteries are just mysteries, then it's a different show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the reality is that most of the main characters don't ever even care about the mysteries,
That's a problem.
which is kind of amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like relatively few characters who take any interest whatsoever.
Yeah. That's the like life thing. Those are the
Yeah,
characters who just go about their lives not understanding what forces are controlling them, you know?
right, right. Yeah, 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 yeah. Which
It'd be
makes
cool.
sense.
I really wish you could do an experiment. Take some never seen Lost, and you tell them up front it's a show about life. Like
Yeah.
the main theme of this show is the meaning of life and what happens after we die. And you tell them those two things, and then you
Mm-hmm.
let them watch the show. And I'd love to be able to compare their satisfaction, under putting all this in context, because you wouldn't place too much meaning on like any one thing, because
Right.
you wouldn't say, oh, the there's a computer in the Swan station, and it counts down, and if you don't press the
Yeah.
button, there's vibrations, and like we wouldn't be thinking that's the key to understanding what's
Yeah.
going on here.
Yeah. Oh, we just got to track down Hanzo. That'll be the answer. Oh,
Oh
go to
yeah,
go to the question mark. All the
yeah,
answers will be
exactly.
there.
You know who knows what's up? The DeGroots. They know what's up, right? Oh, Dharma.
Yeah.
Dharma knows what's up. Dharma was here all this time. They'll
Yep.
the answers. And
Yep.
that's literally what the show does is they
And
go
then it's
back
like
in time.
Ben, and then it's like Richard, and then
Yeah,
it's
they go
like,
one by one through. I mean, it's sort of systematic, right? One by one.
yeah,
Every character on the show who you think has the answers doesn't.
don't. Yeah,
Until
they
we get
never
all the way
do.
back to the original two characters on the show, and they
Jacob and
don't
the
know
Man in Black, and
they
they don't
don't
know
know what's
either.
going on. Yeah,
Yeah. They know what they're doing,
yeah,
but they don't know those ultimate answers any more than anybody else does.
yeah.
So, yeah, which for what they were going for, like I do get that. And I can actually live with that. I think I think that in a way bothers me less. I don't love it, but I think it bothers me less than some of these plot points that are just incoherent.
Yeah, so I think if they had made that kind of their goal more, some of the need to like do these scenes that just are obnoxious,
Yeah.
you don't need to go back and show us Ben stealing Alex.
Yeah.
If your point of the show is this is a show about life,
Right.
stop trying to make the details make sense. Because that makes us think the details are what we should be focusing on.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Exactly. And I think that's where the leftovers like fucked me up a few times. It's like sometimes it was presented
Mm-hmm.
in this way that made it seem like those weird details mattered.
Mm-hmm.
Um and but I should have known by all the other signals coming from the show that they didn't.
Yeah.
It was like repeatedly emphasized. So yeah, for all my frustrations with that show, I don't think they ever really dug into a hole as deep as the show does.
But and then that's the other thing too, though. It's still a catch-22 because when you know that it's not about the details and the details don't matter, then you're not caught up in what the characters are worried about, right?
Yeah,
So when they're
it's
like
a
a flood is
disconnect,
coming, the flood is coming, and there's no flood
and
coming.
you don't really
Now
care.
you're just
Yeah,
wasting your. Now you just feel like they're just wasting time
yeah,
because you're not invested in what the characters think are true.
yeah, and that is a problem because you should care about the story as it's
Mm-hmm.
developing. And normally,
Yeah.
unless it's like extremely experimental, but it wasn't really that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think uh yeah, I think that's part of why season 3 didn't work. You know, season 2 had a stronger storyline that
Yeah.
like wove through the season, and that was definitely the high point of the whole show.
For sure.
I
Yeah.
I think they really pulled that one off and really could have just ended the show there. Might have worked a little better for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I still don't think because yeah, they never did anything like this where they just did like random weird like flashback like
Mm-hmm.
2-minute flashbacks to explain like various mysteries brought up along the way. And here's a flashback from Mapleton, and here's a flashback from Jordan, and like, oh my god, I couldn't. Yeah, I'm still like, I still think it's hilarious that in Ben's like cloud of memories, like 80% of them were just from this episode. It's like, wow, what a coincidence! We just saw all the memories he cares about.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Why did they just have the flashbacks be in the cloud scene? You know, just like save him
oh, the
up.
whole time, like Ben's watching it.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that would have been weird. That would have been like, yeah, oh god, that would have been so weird. I feel like that's what it was almost, but yeah, not quite. They didn't fully commit. Like he sat there for like 20 minutes and watched a little movie of his life.
Time travels differently in the Smoke Monster cloud.
In the cloud, okay, fair enough. He's like out of time in a weird way.
Yeah.
He could be in two places at once, and he knows when Locke's gonna time travel for no apparent reason. So
no apparent reason.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Speaking of random things that don't add up. All part of the plan. I just know things. Like, it's like, you know, Ben's question, like, oh, did you just wake up one day and know the secrets of the universe? And it's like, no, I am the smoke monster, so I know where the smoke monster is. It's where
I know where I am. Yeah. Oh, geez.
That's not like the mysteries of the universe. But something like that, it's like, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Like, right, what is he thinking with Jin and Sun? Is it just like, oh, she's a candidate, I just want her nearby so they can die? Because, like, otherwise, it feels very pointless to not only tell them
kill her now
crazy information. Well, something. The rules. I don't know. It's a good point, but yeah, it's like wrapping him into this whole like, oh, they're in the 70s, and I got these ideas, and you just come with me. And we're gonna like get Jin or something. I'm not gonna explain that because we gotta go with Ben now, and it's totally. We'll talk about this later. Yeah, why does he get to go first? Okay, while we're walking, tell me what the fuck you want to do. Like, he never explains anything, and she's just walking along. Like, well, I guess we're gonna find Jin at some point.
She never trusted Locke ever.
Yeah,
and now he's back from the dead. She's like, well, I guess. So weird.
Yeah, it's totally ridiculous. It's I feel like they needed Sun and Jin to be separated, but I think they didn't know what to do with Sun. It's like, what is she supposed to do? Like, Jin's in the 70s, and
she's like the inverse Kate, right? So the whole thing is they both came back to save a person.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like they're crisscross, right? So
they're in the wrong time period.
Claire's in the present, Sun's in the present, Jin's in the 70s. So but they're both muddled for both, you know, similar reasons, right? Because it's just like there's all these other reasons why they're back. But it's just
right.
Jin. Oh man.
Right.
They got screwed.
Totally screwed.
Again, going back to the show having a point, like Jin spent all that time in the 70s mapping the electricity.
Oh god.
And back to your point about them almost getting close to a workable storyline, right? So you have this whole thing where Widmore comes to the island. He's like, I'm trying to find something.
Yeah.
And like we're like, oh great, he's looking for something with maps. Jin is the map expert.
Show me where the electromagnetic energy is.
Like you think like that's it. Like those two things align with each other. And Jin is like, I'll show you where this is if you let me and Sun leave together. You know, whatever, like something.
Yeah.
Some story. And but yeah, it just doesn't work out like that. Like they bring it up only to like throw it away.
And then we actually see maybe what Widmore actually wants.
Yeah.
Which is never clarified. And
Mm-hmm.
oh god, yeah, the whole Widmore coming back is a mess.
Which is something Jin should have never found, right? Like he shouldn't have been able to find the heart of the island.
Oh hell no.
So it's like, well, what was even the point?
It doesn't seem like there was a point.
Oh man, that's the end to every great detective story. Well, Sherlock, there doesn't seem to be a point.
Yeah, no, that all that Widmore stuff from season 6. I mean, that is such a dead end. There's really nothing of value there. The only thing he does is bring Desmond, and the only thing Desmond does is unplug the thing.
Hey, Widmore brought a war with him. There was a war coming, and
was that the war?
The 2 missiles on the island.
We fired 2 missiles. It's a war.
It's a war. BYOW, man.
That whole bullshit of Jacob came to me and showed me the error of my ways and like vague nonsense.
I'm telling you, there's a missing scene where Man in Black appears to him as Jacob and makes him do this thing. I don't think for one instance Jacob was like, "You, my son, have been redeemed. Simply bring my other son, Desmond, to the island, and he shall be shocked to death and go to the other world where his penny is."
Oh, God. Oh, right. Desmond has his own problems. Jesus.
Yeah, he gets worse.
Just staying with Widmore, the whole thing of like, I mean, he's not the only one, but he's like one of the worst. Like, if that thing that looks like John Locke gets off this island, God help us all. There'll be no one to save anyone's daughters anymore. They'll all be dead.
Who will save your daughter? No one, because we're all dead.
And then he gets confronted with a smoke monster, and he's like, well, okay, I'll tell you how to get off the island if you just don't kill my daughter. Wow. And it's like, really? You just gotta ask?
Wow.
Come on.
Wow.
Like, what do you really believe? Like, that was just, it's like, were you just bullshitting before? Capitalism. Is that what it's illustrating?
Yeah.
The problem with capitalism?
Yeah, the market forces changed. He was uncertain about this future, so he sold some shares. He bought some
feeling a lot of market uncertainty here.
Yeah,
this isn't looking like a good position. I think I need to.
Shareholders weren't going to get a return on that investment. I mean,
I need to sell on Armageddon and buy on one-to-one negotiations with the root of all evil.
Hey, with E-Trade, it's a very low fee per transaction. So,
ooh,
yeah.
Did we get that E-Trade sponsorship yet? Did that come through?
Hey, on E-Trade, your first 5 trades are free. So, E-Trade today, eTrade.com.
eTrade.com/LastLowdown.
Exactly. Sign up for yes, exactly. Go to that eTrade.com/LostLowdown, guys. Come on now. Sign up.
We're supposed to do that. That's what everybody does that now.
Yeah,
I feel like we are such an old school podcast because like every podcast does that now.
Yep.
We're supposed to say all this shit at the end.
Lost Lowdown, the last free podcast in the world.
Serious? Yeah, it's crazy. Like, okay, here's what we're supposed to say. Rate, review, subscribe. Go to iTunes. Mash the shit out of the like button. I don't know where your like button is exactly, but mash it, please.
Smash it, crash it.
Tell your friends, become a subscriber.
Follow our social media.
We need engagement. Yeah, follow us on Twitter at The Lost Lowdown. Oh, it's true that we actually have that.
That's
I
just
mean,
normal.
you can do that if you want, but I'm not saying you have to. But you could. It wouldn't be a bad idea. But there isn't that much there. But do it anyway.
Patreon. Where's our Patreon?
Patreon. Yeah. Hey, for $5 a month, we'll send you a T-shirt.
Hey, that's a pretty good deal.
Not a T-shirt every month. It's a one-time deal.
I was gonna say we can't afford that deal.
No, we can't churn out T-shirts like for $5.
It costs $10 to make. We'll give you
What do you
one for
want?
$5.
God, yeah, no. We're losing enough money as it is.
Right? Jeez. Broke is
not
broke.
A profitable business model.
No. That's why we need you to go to E-Trade and go trade.
Exactly.
First 5 trades are free.
And we need like subscriber exclusive content, you know.
Oh, we do.
Like special thing. Ooh, just for our patrons. Check this out. I don't know what we're gonna do exactly. Like
we should have one version of the podcast that doesn't have tangents, and the other part that does
for those who don't like the tangents.
Yeah.
Or we could have like podcast. Tangent only.
I think that's the exclusive level. Yes, the tangents.
We never actually talk about Lost.
Yep, it's just the tangents. Tangentially speaking.
No! Oh man, and we're full circle.
Did you know you can try Audible free for 30 days at audible.com/lost?
Sign up now. Get your first audiobook for free. I'm currently listening to A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. Perhaps you've heard of it. Check it out on Audible.
Yeah, gotta love capitalism. Did that all come from my thing about capitalism? Was that the tangent?
That's what it made me think. Like, sort of the capitalistic, the capitalization of what we're doing here.
Yeah,
which has become so extreme, and really, like when we started this, I just never envisioned that would be the way it goes. Even though I should have. It's like
that's why you didn't make any money from it.
Fucking A! I know. So true.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I guess it's nice to make money from that, but there's also like I don't know. There's also a lot of weird stuff with that. It's a weird thing. It's a crazy world out there. It's like it's a time capsule. This podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a lot of shit happen. We're still here watching this goddamn show.
We're still here on the island
from the last decade. Like we're not. Yeah, it's like, and we're still talking. It's I don't know. It's crazy.
It is crazy. 13 years.
Yeah. We're still here, but
13-year-olds right now who were born when we started this.
Oh, that's really disturbing.
Yep.
God.
Like, we're into the second generation of possible podcast listener, and if we go, 5, 6, 7 more years, we could be in the third generation. My grandmother told me about your podcast.
They probably won't finish before I pass on.
Are they still rambling over there? Did they figure the show out yet? No, Grandma, they never will, but don't tell them that. I'm just here for the tangents. All right, well, this episode sucks. The next one is Some Like It Hot, which I remember being pretty awful as well.
Oh, ew. Mm-hmm. I remember liking that even less than this one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So we'll see. Maybe because it's light and breezy, I won't mind it. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, yikes.
But I definitely remember some bullshit from that episode.
And
Now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, we're definitely in for some stinkers going
So
forward
Dead
here.
is Dead. Is that supposed to be a hint to us that this isn't really Locke because Locke is really
I
dead?
think so.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're just
Looking
supposed to know
back,
that.
I think they knew when they wrote
Mm-hmm.
that it would be like that. Looking back, you could see like, oh, it does look like they knew they were going there, and I believe that they knew that.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things I don't believe, but when it's within one season, like I believe that they actually knew that Locke was
Yeah.
not Locke.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think it's a hint. I mean, of course, Ben doesn't really know that. Even though I feel like he maybe even if he shouldn't know, he should at least be suspicious. He did say he was scared, but I don't know. He goes along for the ride pretty willingly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty questionable. I feel like a lot of this material in this episode has a lot of potential, but it should have been about 5 or 6 episodes. It could have been almost a mini series. Like there's so much shit going
Yeah.
on. And a lot of it has the potential to be super interesting. It's addressing things that I thought were interesting when they originally happened,
Mm-hmm.
and so like I want to like the episode. Super like mythologically oriented, but yeah, this is that late stage Lost where it's just not coming together.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, we'll see. Maybe at the end of the season it'll start seeming better after we get past these like weird flashback episodes.
Yeah, they're trying to make this transition and stuff. So
Yeah, they're like wrapping up loose ends. I think the next episode, oh no, then we have the variable, right? So that's the
oh
last one.
no.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, but it's
So
gonna
now
happen.
I'm trying to think season 5 is the inverse of season 3, where like the worst stuff is towards the end. Because I feel like the beginning of season 5 was a little better.
I totally agree.
And now it's getting
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah. When I rewatched it, I remember before season 6, it was like I enjoyed the first part, and then the
Mm-hmm.
last part was like a drag.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a weird one.
Like, I was mostly irritated with the Dharma stuff, but now I realize that it's not just Dharma. There's
Mm-hmm.
problems everywhere.
Yeah.
They need to clean up like all over the house, not just the Dharma room.
So many rooms are messy.
But yeah, I think the early stuff also had problems, but yeah, they're adding up and it's getting a bit worse. And there was something fun about the initial rush of the
Yeah.
time travel
Yeah.
and the urgency of getting back to the island.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of that like kind of worked. It definitely had issues, but I think the issues weren't as deep as the ones that they're encountering now.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I realized they've done is this sort of shell game of the tension, like you were saying at the beginning of the season, them getting back to the island, thinking what's going to happen when they get back. All that stuff was begging a question, and then when they get back to the island, we get this crazy thing of now they're in the 70s, and so it supplants the question of, well, why do they need to go back to the island? That's, that was the main question for season 4.
Yeah,
Why do you have to go back? What's the point?
yeah,
What's going to happen when you get there? And then that question gets pushed by to the side, and now we deal with the craziness of them being in this different time period, right? And
right.
but we're still waiting for that question of what was the point of all of this.
Yeah,
And that just gets pushed and pushed and pushed till towards the end of the season when the answer was nothing.
right.
There was no point.
Yeah. It's a delay tactic. I mean, basically, like,
Mm-hmm.
the real reason why they came back is what's going to happen after that. And this is just kind of like, you need to wait here
Yep.
because we need some other stuff to happen and we need you not to be there. Because,
Yep.
if all those characters are there while this is going on, it's not going to be as easy. There's going to be more conflict about what they're doing and
Yeah,
why.
and it would have been, and there, yeah, Locke gets some he gets sort of validated by having convinced all the people who are in the present timeline now that he's really Locke. So when
Yeah.
the rest of them get there, it's not much of a question.
Right.
They all think he's Locke. But if he had to present himself to Jack and everybody else all at the same time, you know, it would have been
Yeah.
a lot different.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, by the time they come back, like he's already revealed that he's not Locke.
Oh,
Or
really?
he didn't reveal it, but uh, you know, Alana and Bram reveal
Oh,
it because
okay.
they're carrying the body. That's what was in that box was Locke's
They already
body.
know for sure.
Yeah. So they're gonna dump that out at the end of the season, and then Sun knows, and so when they all come back, they find out pretty quickly that
Oh, that's
there's a
right.
fake Locke out there. So yeah, they I don't think they ever get the chance to even believe it
To
or consider
even,
it.
I see.
You know, I think I would have liked that better. I
Mm.
think it would have been more complicated. You know, Kay would want to go rescue Claire. You know, uh, Sun would want to find Jin. You know, like there would be other issues to deal
Mm-hmm.
with. What's Saeed gonna do if we can't lock him in jail? You know,
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is nobody takes credit for the losses going to the 70s,
no, no,
and I think that's
no.
something missing from Man in Black's plan. If he had somehow was like, yeah, I orchestrated that.
Right,
I knew that if this plane flew on this heading at this time with this thing, that this thing would happen because the water and the light, and I
right,
made a machine that does it, you know,
right.
or
Yeah,
I turned the donkey wheel right at the right time, made the, like if he was
right.
responsible for that, then you can say, well, look, yeah, he knew that the people who could, thwart his plans the most, he needed to send to the 70s,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, that goes back to the question of like, who's really behind the whole idea of going on this Ajira plane? You know,
Hmm.
is it really just Miss Hawking and like some calculations on a chalkboard? Was it informed by something else? You know, the whole idea of putting Locke's body on there. Um,
Didn't we guess
uh,
that the smoke monster was a chalkboard? Was that a joke we
Yikes.
made?
That sounds true though. Yeah, no, I feel like it might because if she doesn't insist, if they don't bring Locke's body, which by the way, why?
Why?
If they don't bring Locke's body, Man in Black's plan doesn't work. You know?
And so none of these
So
people know that the plane crashed because Desmond didn't press the button.
uh no, I think they know that. I think he told somebody that.
He did. I forgot who, but that's the thing. Like you could convince them, hey, plane crashes because there was a dead guy on it. I don't know. So now when you guys go
Right.
back, if you want to go back to the island, you got to have a dead guy on it. You know what I mean? But it's like that doesn't even work if they
Right.
know the real reason the plane crashed.
Yeah. Yeah, they really should know. Yeah, who did he tell? I remember he's like, "Brother, I think I crashed your plane." Uh, uh, yeah. Was it like Locke or Echo? Was it? Is it just that like? Did he never tell anybody else? That would be so disappointing.
Yeah, I can't
Like
remember
Jack and
who.
Kate, and they have no idea. Like, oh, that'd be so irritating.
I think that's true.
Oh God. Oh God.
I can't think of. I know there's a scene where he tells somebody that, but don't they not even believe him? I
They
feel like
don't
there's a
believe
scene.
him.
Yeah, I feel like there's a scene where he says that, and they don't believe him, or I mean, maybe he convinces them by the end of the scene. I can't quite remember the scene, but yeah, that's part of why Man in Black has carte blanche over all this storyline because nobody knows anything and nobody wants anything. So he can just be like, "Hey, you guys got to go back to the island. Why? I don't know. Just do it. Okay, we got to
Yeah.
go back."
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess the point I was trying to make is like the general idea of they have to go back to the island. Okay, so for example, Ilana, Bran, and Red Shirts, Jacob's
Hmm.
bodyguards, like they were sent there by Jacob. That means I think that Jacob knows about 316. In fact, he puts Hurley on that plane in person.
Hmm. Hmm.
So he definitely knows about that plane and he's fine with it going. But at the same time, Locke's body is on there, and a number of the characters get transported to 70s, both of which I think help um, the Man in Black's plan.
Hmm.
So it's just one of those situations. I think maybe we talked about this before, where it seems like they both want it for different reasons,
Hmm.
and they don't know what the other's reasons are.
I mean, now
But
you're
who's really
walking.
behind it? Like, who's
Yeah, now
informing Miss Hawking? I think that's what's
you're
really interesting.
walking up to another potential storyline where Jacob wanted to be killed. He wanted to be deposed so that because he always knew that he could never hurt his brother,
Right.
and that the only way to get rid of this threat
Yeah.
once and for all is to have a new leader of the island
Yeah.
take Jacob's place and kill Man in Black. So then you could
Yeah.
have this all be a part of, Man in Black thinks he's the one controlling the strings, but you've got Jacob doing a little bit. And yeah, he's like, oh, this is helpful to me. Yeah, I do want to eventually die. Plus, I've been at this for 2,000 years. Like, I'm done, right?
Right.
Like, you could have had that storyline be there too,
Yeah.
where, and then that's why he's so, harsh to Ben. What about you? Is because that's what he wants to happen.
Right.
And that's why he doesn't try to stop it because that's what he wants to happen.
Right.
Instead of it just being what seems like bad writing, you could be like,
Right.
oh, this was his, and then that's why you have Jacob still around a little bit after he dies. So he
Right.
can do that transition with Jack. And he
Right.
could go, and Jack could go, this is all falling apart. Like, what are we supposed to do? Jacob, you're not the lead, you're dead. And he goes, this is all part of the plan, Jack. You know,
Yeah.
this is what has to happen,
Yeah.
Um that could have been
I
a
think
thing.
I think that's like almost what happens. But it's not clear if it was the plan or if it's like a reaction,
Yeah.
you know?
Hmm.
Because I don't think he specifies.
But I'm saying that, yeah, they would have needed to bring in the reason Jacob is doing this, which is that they could only have ever been a stalemate with Jacob and Man in Black. They can't hurt,
Right.
this idea they can't hurt each other.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, he
Yeah.
believes it's
They
true.
believe it. Yeah.
They believe it, and I was going to say earlier, it also would have been cool if they would have said that Man in Black, knowing that you know he was going to have to find someone to, it's actually works out really well because there's this great parallel here where both of them are incentivized to get people to come to the island to help kill the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say, they could have said Man in Black is the one who wanted the whole bet about humanity. Like, he sort of tricked Jacob into that whole game of people are inherently good, people are inherently bad. Well, let's
Mm-hmm.
prove it out by bringing people to the island. Like, that could have been Man in Black's plan to go, great, I'll make Jacob bring people to the island, then I'll corrupt them, and
Right.
eventually I'll find someone who can kill Jacob for me. Like, that's his
Yeah.
main plan. And then
Yeah.
along the way, Jacob goes, oh, wow, he's been playing me this whole time. I can't actually do anything about him. He's just going to keep corrupting people and causing pain and threatening the world by all these shenanigans on the island. The only way to get rid of him is if someone else is leader of the island and can kill him. That
Mm-hmm.
means I got to die. So then you
Yeah.
have this simple parallel goal for each of the characters, that's about getting rid of the other character.
Right.
um that could have worked.
I think that's almost the plot,
That's almost the plot.
But not quite. They didn't really say that.
Yeah.
It makes sense though,
Hmm.
and that's good.
Yeah, that's the problem, is they get very close to really good storyline.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's it's a pattern.
Yeah.
They're really good at that. Like almost there. I feel like that's part of why are still stuck on the show. Like if because there are other shows that don't get close.
No.
And so who cares? Like why bother talking about them? So it's sort of the interesting thing, but it's also in a way like more frustrating that they get that
Mhm.
close but don't get there.
Yeah, it's like that cognitive thing your brain does, sees an image and it fills in the gap, to
Yeah.
make the whole. And it's like that's what they do with story
Yeah.
is they show you A and they show you C, and your
Yeah.
brain gets to do the interactive engagement of putting B in between the two.
Right.
But the problem is like we don't know if B is true because
Yeah.
we added that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We don't know what the alphabet is.
Yeah, and you guys just gave us A and C
Yeah.
and said, "Here, that's our story." And it's like, well, A and C don't make any sense
Yeah.
without the B.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If we
So
don't
it
know what's
keeps that.
supposed to
Yeah, I
go in the
mean, it
middle.
definitely has that thing where it keeps you trying to make the puzzle, trying to find the right puzzle piece to finish to solve the problem, to solve the equation. The equation. You're the variables. Oh god. Because love is the kind.
Oh
Um
no.
yeah. So yeah, it definitely has that quality where the missing pieces, to coin a phrase, um are are what keeps you kind of engaged with it. And if those pieces weren't missing, if they were there, there'd be nothing to engage you. You'd go, oh yeah, here's a great story. Done. I read that. I watched
Right.
that. Cool. Move on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's uh
But is that even on purpose?
Yeah, no, good point. Not clear.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I feel like there's aspects that are on purpose, but overall, yeah, I don't know. I do feel like they lucked out with some things.
Yeah, because most people aren't going to play that game forever. Understand?
True.
Maybe it was this, maybe it was that, and I give up. I don't care anymore. I'm going to watch American Idol.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's it. Like so, it's not like you can make a show like that on purpose and go, "This is why people watch." They'll be slightly interested and slightly confused, just perfectly enough to want to keep watching the show. Like that's not how you write a show, right?
Right.
So it seems like it's just a symptom or a side effect of how they wrote the show and what they wanted to focus on, that you have
Yeah.
all these loose ends that you can kind of tie together yourself, you know, which is satisfying on one hand, but not satisfying because you have to do the works.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I always don't like, is that a thing you can say?
Depends on what the rest of the sentence is.
Okay. It just sounds wrong, but I don't always like also sounds wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The point is that every time I see this, I don't like it. Which is that whole thing of, and it comes in many forms these days, videos or articles or whatever, but like here's the truth, here's the truth about like this story or whatever,
Uh huh.
like here's the secret thing that it's really about.
Yeah. The hidden meaning in Home Alone.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Like some bullshit like that. And my problem with those things is that even though like they will make some casual contact with what's actually in the movie, they always have to like throw
Yeah.
in a lot of extra shit on top of that.
Yeah, they
Um,
have to. Yeah, it's never only what can be found and accurately interpreted from the movie itself.
yeah.
You have to pull out all this other stuff, and it gets crazier when they're like, "This movie is a sequel to that movie," and
Oh
it's like,
God,
"What are you talking
it's
about? That's
ridiculous.
not how Hollywood works." Like, no one,
Yeah,
yeah, people get really. I blame millennials.
I do too. I
Yeah,
do too.
I think there's a disconnect, and I don't know what the cause is exactly, but I think there's a slight misunderstanding and a cynicism that the younger people have with like how the entertainment industry works and the reasons that people make things and
Hmm.
what artistry is and what filmmakers are. You know, that they think that
Yeah.
people would be so cynical as to say, well, I'm just going to spend, X amount of time and money to do this thing that doesn't matter. Or I'm going to make this entire movie that's really a secret sequel to this other movie that I'll tell no one about. I won't tell anyone it's a sequel. It'll stand alone on its own for decades.
Right.
But then if you really look at it, my secret is it's a prequel to The Exorcist.
Right.
Because this one has a priest too.
Right.
And it's like, that's not how things work, guys.
Yeah.
And I think because we didn't used to have that in our culture, I have to blame the newest people in our culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It definitely seems like a newer thing, even if there was like some precedent for it. But personally, my preferred way to engage with things like this, as you can probably tell from the podcast, is like, what's in the thing? That has to be the basis.
Yeah.
You can try to fit things together, but ultimately you got to come back to what's actually in there.
Yeah.
And to me, like, any analysis that departs too much from like what's actually in there is really a waste of time.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's maybe it's interesting if you're a really imaginative person or something, but is it insightful about the story you're talking about? I don't think it is, because you're not talking about the story. You're talking about this thing you're making up about the story.
Yep.
So it's like it's outside of what's actually going on.
It's
there.
the classic thing with Inception being about filmmaking, being an allegory for filmmaking.
Exactly.
And it's like, yeah, that's an interesting idea for a movie.
Yeah.
But that's not interesting as an idea for what this movie's about.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not about that. I'm sorry. Did you watch the movie?
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to interpret that that's the symbolic meaning, you can, but it's not in there. It's just not. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's about like going inside people's dreams.
It's about what the movie said it was about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The movie will tell you what it's about.
I also blame like 9/11 and like, the resulting issues with distrust in government and stuff.
Deforestation.
Well, I just mean like the idea that there are conspiracies that exist, so this idea that you can't really trust things.
Right.
Things are more than what they seem.
Yeah.
So, this movie Inception, well, it can't just be a really dense movie about dreams.
It's enough if you just stay with what's in the story.
It's packed with stuff, but it's not really about that. It's really about this other thing.
It almost makes it more simplistic.
Well, yeah, but the other thing I think is it makes it there's again with the conspiracy thinking is it's about I know the special truth.
Right.
I have uncracked this thing.
Yeah.
And that's more important than what the truth is. It's important that you know the special truth. And so I think there's that prevalence to kind of go, Kevin McAllister is really the villain in Home Alone.
Right.
And it's like, okay, great. Well, he does this and he does that and he does this, but clearly he's supposed to be the good guy.
Yeah.
Clearly he's an innocent kid who's trying to do the right thing.
It's really obvious.
Yeah, that's why he gets what he wants by the end.
Is that a real thing? Kevin is the
villain? Maybe. I might have like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't quite remember if that's...
Because it's just totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
Though I wouldn't be surprised. It kind of sounds like a thing someone would do.
I kind of think that's a real thing. If not, I'm going to go write it real quick. Get 100 million clicks.
Yeah. I just think, like, it's worth being clear about what you're doing when you do stuff like that.
Here it is. What if Kevin was the villain in Home Alone?
Oh boy.
See how many views this YouTube video has. 497 views, so not a lot.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, go check that out if you want a theory about Home Alone.
Yeah, go make it a cool 500 views. Sorry, what were you saying?
So cool. Yeah, no. I just think like, uh, I was just trying to step back and think about like when we talk about stories, when we sit here and do this podcast and we're trying to pick apart what's happening, like what are we really trying to do,
Oh, good question. Do you know?
And I think, do you?
Yikes. Lost
Do
Letter
you?
is deep.
Because yeah, I'm not sure I do.
I know
like,
what I thought we were trying to do.
What did you think we were trying to do?
Which is different from what I think we're doing now.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought what we were trying. Are you mean in general, or
I think I mean in general.
Okay, in general, I think it's just a basic trying to understand the show, trying to understand what the plot is, and I think it was really about the why things are happening.
So, okay, here's my question about that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if we're trying to understand the show, what does that mean? Does it mean I guess I'm asking about the whole like death of the author thing. Like, are we trying to understand what the authors are trying to convey?
Yeah. See, that's the natural evolution of the investigation, right? Is you start with what is the content of the material, and then you inevitably hit a wall and you don't understand something. So you naturally have to go, well, who are the creators?
Yeah.
What do they believe? What did
Yeah.
they say about their intention?
Yeah.
So then you get this thing where now you're having to analyze both the content and the creators.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually believe both things can be valid. Like it does interest me what they have to say about the show and what they were intending to do, because I think that does inform how I want to think about the show in a constructive way. But I also think that just because they say something about the show doesn't necessarily mean it's true if it doesn't hold up with what's actually in the show.
Yep.
So
That's our whole beginning of our commentary series, right? Well, after Lost had aired, for the first time ever, Carlton and Damon gave the world the two questions they were trying to answer with the show.
Yeah.
Which was the central theme of the show is what's the meaning of life and what happens after we die. And so we called bullshit on that when we first heard it because it sounded like artistic pompousness.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, fine, we'll rewatch the show with those two questions in mind and see if there's anything supporting it.
Yeah.
And the problem is everything supports that because
Yeah.
it's those general fucking things.
It is. I know. It's almost like not what happens after you die, but if you go with meaning of life, it's like you could apply that to like almost any story.
Well, the meaning of life thing is, the first 5 seasons, and then what happened after you die is season 6.
Right.
But but like that's the problem. Life is all encompassing of living things.
Yeah.
So anything that happens, and you get, we've talked about this a lot, of course, but that actually becomes the most interesting thing about the show because no other show is about life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Other shows are about what they're about.
Right.
Like The Simpsons is about a family called The Simpsons.
Right.
The X-Files is about two people finding crazy stuff in its X-Files. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the things that happen are all in the context of what the show's about. Whereas Lost, when they say that, and maybe it's just a great catch-all and they're gaslighting us and they're like, God, there's so many crazy things that happen to the show. It's so crazy, just like life. That's what the show is about. It's about life the whole time.
Right.
Because it is this crazy thing. But then you get that weird thing of, well, look, here's people on the island who don't even question the mysteries. It's like, well, shit, that's like life. Here's people who only care about the mysteries. That's like life. Here's people who think they have the right answer but are wrong. That's like life.
Yeah.
Here's people who don't know the answer, but then they'll find out they did know the answer. It's like life. So you get this weird thing, but that still doesn't make the bad writing work.
Right. I
You
agree.
know?
I agree. It can't recover everything, but it is
Yeah.
true. I feel like simultaneously that it's the kind of thing that seems so generic, and that was the problem I had with the end of the series. That when they're in the
Yeah.
church, it's almost like it could have been any show that ended that way
Yeah, and I think
with all the
that's
characters in the church, and that's just kind of frustrating.
the only way to me, yeah, that ending is knowing that they had to be general by definition of their question.
Right.
You know, you can't say what happens after we die and give a explicitly Christian ending or
Or something that
explicitly
ties
Buddhist
into the
ending.
island in an explicit
Yeah,
way,
exactly.
which is what I wanted. I wanted
Yeah,
some, like, why did the island matter? Not just like,
yeah.
oh, it was the people we met along the way. Like, that was
Mhm.
it?
Well, and that was what you're told is the island that this idea that you will transition to the afterlife with whatever group of people were significant in your life wherever you made those connections. This group of
Right.
people just happened to do that here on this island,
Right.
but it could have been anywhere.
Yeah.
It could have
Yeah,
been any group of
exactly.
people.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and that's why it just seems like, but at the same time, um I do admit that there are aspects of the show that I think the whole idea of it being about life works really well
Yep.
in a way that I would say fits better than it would with most shows.
Yep.
So like I do see that there is something to that idea, but it is, yeah, it doesn't. It's
Mhm.
not a like get out of jail free. Like, well, you can write anything we want because it's life. Like
No, and that's the thing
that
is
doesn't work.
they had to have the evidence to support that, and there is a lot of it. Was Locke and Echo seeing the second orientation film and having the immediate opposite reaction from that. Echo's like, "Oh, we don't need to press the button." Locke is like, "No, we don't need to press the button." Echo's like, "Yeah, we do." And before knowing this question about the meaning of life being a theme, you go, "Well, why would the writers write that? Shouldn't they both be convinced watching the same thing? Why would you have two people see the same event and come away with two different interpretations?
Hmm.
Oh shit, that's like life."
Yeah.
That the only reason you do that if you're trying to point about meaning and interpretation, right? Which
Right.
are the basis for understanding life.
Yeah.
Something happens, you have to interpret it. That's what life is. Literally, is a series of events that you interpret, and then
Right.
you create some action based on your interpretation. So Locke lands on the island. He thinks it's special. Now he's going to go do this entire series of events based on that. You know,
Right.
and it's a super interesting idea for a show. But yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that all of the writing makes sense.
Right.
And that the plot lines
Yeah, you
are
can't just say like, okay, like, yeah, but that's like life. It doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah,
no, 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 no,
yeah.
no. It's not that easy.
Hmm.
But yeah, the points where it really hits on something in a calculated, specific way, like that stuff really works.
Yeah. It's like, why are there so many blue tarps? Oh, it's like life. And
Yeah, exactly. Why did the torch relight? Like, oh yeah,
mhm,
life. Torches light
light.
up
Sometimes
sometimes.
torches relight. Torches never
So
relight.
weird. I don't know. That I just realized, like, Man in Black has like torch lighting powers.
I assumed he'd like suck the air out of the room
He stuck the air. How is
something.
Ben breathing? Like I what?
That's a good. He had just enough to breathe.
There's only enough oxygen for Ben,
Listen,
not for the fire.
that's how fire works. How else? I mean, even if he was controlling it, like, isn't that what would make the fire die? Lack of burning fuel, like.
Yeah.
So, like, at a certain level, he's doing it. I mean, maybe he's not taking it out of the whole room. He's just taking it around the torch itself, I guess. Maybe
But why did it light up again?
because he blew air back into the room. He opened the shutter and wind came in.
The wind just lit up the. I mean, don't you need something else? Like, if
It
it
was a
was out.
small ember
There was an ember.
boring.
Oh, I didn't realize there was an ember. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
You didn't remember the ember?
I remember. Don't you remember?
Yeah, it's hard to put that together.
It really is. It's horrible, actually. It's like uncanny valley pun.
Yeah, so I'm glad after 13 years stop and ask what's the point of the podcast?
Yeah. I was thinking about that, and I'm like, yeah, we should say that at some point.
In case you're wondering, this is the goal of the podcast. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I think it's about time.
I think it's about time. Wow.
Because I think I think the goals have kind of shifted over time because
So now I think
perspective on the show has shifted.
I think before it was about trying to understand why it was happening, and I think now the goal of the podcast is to really just analyze what's working, what's not working, what's the central story here, what really makes sense and what doesn't, what you can throw away and what's really important. And you can throw away a lot of stuff.
Ooh, yeah,
no,
so much. So much. If you strip away everything but like the bare essentials of the overall plot, yeah, I mean, this could have been like 3 seasons of 10 episodes, probably.
Oh yeah, yep.
Get that done.
Nice and to the point.
Yeah, like just skip all that filler and get to the main points. Like Locke dies, says he comes back, they kill Jacob, then they are candidates, and like that's enough story.
Yep. Candidates, yikes. It's gonna get worse before it gets better.
I know. We're in for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back next time with Some Like It Hot. My least favorite title ever.
So bad.
So useless.
Can't wait for that.
Can't wait. Until next time, thanks and namaste.
Namaste and good luck.